I recall a client, Sarah, a brilliant marketing executive earning six figures. Yet every Sunday night, a quiet dread would settle over her. It wasn't about her job. It was about the lack of choice. She'd built a comfortable life, a beautiful home, private school tuition, all good things, but they had become golden handcuffs. The mortgage, the lifestyle, the expectations, they dictated her every move, making the thought of pursuing her true passion, a small consulting firm, feel utterly impossible. Her career trajectory, her financial runway, felt less like a path she chose and more like a conveyor belt she couldn't step off without risking everything. The fear wasn't failure. It was the slow, creeping realization that she had unconsciously traded her autonomy for security, and now the price of freedom seemed insurmountable. Take a moment to identify one recurring professional interaction or financial decision where you might be operating on autopilot. Unconscious habits truly dictate your financial and career trajectory. Most people operate on autopilot, repeating cycles that limit growth. The first thing to grasp is that your daily routines, even seemingly mundane ones, subtly reinforce either constraint or expansion. Many professionals discover that their automatic responses to budget stress, for example, aren't conscious decisions, but ingrained reactions that can prevent strategic investing or salary negotiation. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate analysis of these automatic reactions, identifying where they unconsciously concede leverage or undervalue their expertise. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that these unconscious habits also govern your learning and skill acquisition. Are you automatically gravitating towards comfort or proactively challenging yourself with market-demanded skills? Think of the moment when you accepted a lower offer for your services simply because you'd always done so. True freedom begins not with a grand escape plan, but with the quiet awareness of your internal programming. Master your habits, master your future. Now here's where the real shift begins. Systematically linking small, beneficial actions creates exponential results. Relying on sporadic motivation, on the other hand, consistently fails to build consistent progress. The first thing to grasp is that your trajectory isn't defined by grand, infrequent gestures, but by the relentless compounding of micro decisions. Consider a professional who consistently dedicates just 20 minutes each morning to learning a high-demand skill outside their immediate job description. Over months, that small, linked action builds undeniable market value and negotiation leverage, creating options that don't exist for someone waiting for a large block of free time that never appears. One shift that accelerates progress is designing systems, not just chasing willpower. Many professionals discover that the friction of client acquisition or the stress of a looming budget is dramatically reduced, not by a sudden burst of effort, but by a consistent, small daily outreach or a 5-minute expense review. Think of the moment when the lack of a financial runway made you accept less than you deserved. That's a direct result of relying on sporadic savings rather than a tiny, automated daily transfer. Take a moment to consider how even a 10-minute daily commitment could shift your current trajectory. What separates consistent earners from the rest isn't superior intelligence, but superior systems for sustained growth, often built on these small, linked habits. True financial and career freedom is constructed one deliberate, consistent action at a time. Build your habits, build your runway. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. True change comes not from brute force willpower, but from strategically designing your environment and the systems within it. Believing discipline alone sustains habits invariably leads to burnout, especially when pursuing significant career shifts or building a financial runway. The first thing to grasp is that your surroundings are either your greatest ally or your most formidable foe in your quest for freedom. Consider a time when you tried to stick to a strict budget, relying solely on your resolve, only to find yourself overspending when a stressful work week hit. That's willpower attempting to fight a poorly designed financial environment. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that systemizing your skill development or client acquisition vastly outperforms periodic bursts of effort. Many professionals discover that their intention to learn a new, high-value skill quickly fades without a dedicated time slot, a specific online course bookmarked, and a visible progress tracker. This isn't a lack of drive, it's a lack of an enabling system. One shift that accelerates progress is automating decisions whenever possible, from setting up recurring investments to pre-scheduling networking outreach. This minimizes decision fatigue and frees up mental energy. Think of the moment when the sheer effort of staying focused on an important project led to exhaustion, rather than the steady flow of productive work that a well-structured system provides. Take a moment to name one area where you've relied solely on willpower to maintain a habit or achieve a goal. Real leverage comes from building structures that support your goals, not from a constant internal battle. Design your world, define your future. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. Small, immediate actions ignite progress and build self-efficacy, whereas overthinking prevents action, delaying any potential benefits entirely. The first thing to grasp is that the biggest barrier to building your financial runway or executing your exit plan isn't a lack of knowledge, but a paralysis of analysis. Consider a professional who needs to acquire a new, high-demand market skill to elevate their earning power. They might spend weeks researching courses, comparing certifications, and planning an elaborate study schedule. In reality, one shift that accelerates progress is simply setting a 15-minute timer to engage with the very first module, even if it feels insignificant. Many professionals discover that client acquisition friction or negotiation mistakes often stem from an unwillingness to take that imperfect initial step. What separates consistent earners from the rest is not their perfect plan, but their willingness to take the first, smallest possible action to test, learn, and adapt. Think of the moment when you delayed sending a crucial email or making a vital call, rationalizing that you needed more information or a clearer strategy. That delay eroded potential leverage and income. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that these micro-actions build momentum and confidence, creating a feedback loop that makes the next step easier. Take a moment to name one area where you've recently relied solely on endless preparation instead of initiating a small action. Consistent, immediate action is the catalyst for genuine transformation and accumulated advantage. Act now, grow always. Moving from theory into practice. The core principle here is designing your day with purpose-driven habit stacks for desired outcomes, because allowing external demands to dictate your schedule inevitably diminishes your control over your own trajectory. The first thing to grasp is that without intentional design, your day becomes a reaction, not a creation. Consider a professional attempting to build new market skills or generate additional income for an exit plan. If their schedule is solely dictated by immediate emails, urgent client requests, or boss demands, the critical time for growth-oriented tasks simply evaporates. Many professionals discover that their inability to progress stems not from a lack of desire, but from a lack of protected time for strategic work. Think of the moment when your day felt completely hijacked by urgent but ultimately unimportant tasks, leaving no room for the high-leverage activities that build your runway or increase your earning power. This isn't just about efficiency, it's about reclaiming agency. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering commitment to blocking out non-negotiable time for their own strategic development, even if it's just 15 minutes. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously linking these small intentional habits to existing routines, making them almost automatic. Take a moment to consider where in your existing schedule you could carve out 15 minutes for a new intentional habit. By proactively shaping your daily flow, you reclaim the power to build your future, one purposeful block at a time. Own your time, own your life. Chapter 1: Deconstructing your default. Uncover your hidden financial blocks. I worked with David, a talented engineer who, despite earning a solid six-figure income, couldn't understand why his savings account remained stubbornly stagnant, preventing him from building his desired career transition runway. He meticulously budgeted for major expenses like his mortgage and car, yet felt perpetually broke. One month, we simply tracked every single transaction, no judgment attached. What emerged was startling. Daily takeout lunches, forgotten streaming subscriptions, impulsive online purchases. These weren't individually large sums, but collectively they silently siphoned away hundreds each month, becoming the very hidden blocks he needed to uncover. Take a moment to consider where your own resources might be unknowingly draining away. Understanding where your resources are truly allocated is the critical first step. Ignoring daily expenditures and time sinks prevents conscious control over your financial and career trajectory. The first thing to grasp is that many professionals struggle not due to a lack of income, but an unconscious misallocation of both money and time. Consider a time when you promised yourself you'd dedicate an hour to skill development or networking, only to find the evening consumed by mindless scrolling or unplanned errands. Another factor that changes everything is realizing these small, overlooked drains compound rapidly, eroding your capacity for strategic investment or exit planning. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their acute awareness of these invisible costs and their deliberate decision to redirect those resources towards building leverage and freedom. Conscious resource allocation is the cornerstone of building true financial and professional freedom. See your reality, shape your destiny. This insight naturally leads us forward. Recognizing the specific cues that lead to undesirable financial or career actions is paramount because reacting unconsciously only perpetuates unwanted behaviors. The first thing to grasp is that your unconscious reactions to specific triggers are often the hidden architects of your financial and career setbacks. Consider a time when a difficult interaction with a boss or a stressful project deadline immediately sent you to online shopping as a coping mechanism, or perhaps to simply avoid working on your side project for building leverage. This isn't about willpower failing. It's about a cue-driven response you haven't yet identified and intercepted. Many professionals discover that perceived budget stress or the pressure to keep up with peers on social media acts as a powerful cue, leading to impulsive spending that sabotages runway building. Or the quiet fear of what if I fail after a long day becomes the cue to ignore crucial skill development, instead opting for passive consumption that delays an exit plan. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate practice of observing these internal and external cues before the automatic reaction takes over. They learn to pause. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that these cues are often predictable. Perhaps it's the specific feeling of being overwhelmed that triggers negotiation mistakes, or the end of the workday signaling an automatic shift into passive entertainment. Take a moment to note two common triggers for your less productive financial or career habits. One shift that accelerates progress is creating an if-then plan. If I feel X, then I will do Y instead of Z. Conscious awareness of triggers grants you the power to choose your responses, not merely react to them. Identify your cues, master your choices. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. Significant progress comes not from overwhelming, drastic adjustments, but from strategic, incremental ones. Believing that only drastic measures will work often paralyzes action, preventing any meaningful change whatsoever. The first thing to grasp is that the psychological burden of a perceived overhaul is often too heavy, leading to inaction. Consider a professional trying to build a financial runway for a career transition. They might feel they need to slash their entire lifestyle, cut every non-essential expense, and save 50% of their income overnight. This daunting prospect often leads to them changing nothing at all, feeling perpetually stuck. Many professionals discover that this all-or-nothing mindset is a significant block to increasing earning power or pursuing an exit plan. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to identify and address small, strategic points of leverage. Think of the moment when you delayed learning a new skill because you felt you needed to dedicate hundreds of hours, when simply mastering one component would have opened new opportunities. One shift that accelerates progress is focusing on plugging small, persistent financial leaks or allocating just 15 minutes daily to a high-impact skill. These are manageable, build momentum, and quickly compound. Take a moment to consider where a small win might be more impactful than a big leap in your current plans. Sustainable momentum is built through consistent, intelligent fine-tuning, not through paralyzing expectations of perfection. Optimize the small, achieve the grand. With that foundation in place, let's consider a fundamental truth. You cannot intentionally optimize your routines without first cataloging your existing habits, both beneficial and detrimental. The first thing to grasp is that many professionals find themselves frustrated with their career trajectory or financial standing, yet they operate on an unconscious loop of behaviors, never truly understanding where their energy and resources are actually going. Consider a professional aiming to increase their earning power by developing a new, in-demand skill. They might habitually scroll through news feeds for 30 minutes each morning, unaware that this seemingly innocuous routine is directly consuming the precise window they could be dedicating to learning. Without identifying this habit, the opportunity for skill stacking remains elusive. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering commitment to self-observation. They meticulously identify their daily patterns, discerning which habits serve their strategic goals and which are merely time and energy sinks. Think of the moment when budget stress derailed your progress toward building a financial runway. Often, this isn't due to one large expense, but a collection of small, daily, unconscious spending habits. The afternoon snack, the forgotten subscription, that collectively erode savings. Cataloging these seemingly minor expenditures reveals the death by 1,000 cuts that prevents financial leverage. One shift that accelerates progress is actively reviewing your daily actions and labeling them. Is this moving me closer to my freedom blueprint or further away? Take a moment to consider how your current daily habits are either propelling you towards or away from your professional goals. This deliberate mapping of your routines provides the clarity needed to redesign your default. Know your patterns. Build your power. This insight naturally leads us forward. Clearly defining your ideal financial and career future is non-negotiable because lacking a specific vision results in aimless, ineffective efforts that drain both time and capital. The first thing to grasp is that a vague desire for more money or less stress provides no actionable roadmap. Consider a professional attempting to build a financial runway for an exit plan. Without a clear target, a specific amount needed, by when, and for what purpose. Every savings decision or investment choice remains unfocused, easily derailed by immediate temptations or perceived emergencies. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power by skill stacking often fall flat because they haven't identified which skills align with a truly desirable future role, not just the next promotion. They learn broadly, but not strategically, wasting precious energy. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their vivid, detailed picture of their desired reality. They know not just what they want, but why they want it, and what that future feels like. Think of the moment when you felt stuck in a boss dynamic you disliked. Without a clear alternative vision for your working life, it's impossible to define what kind of leverage you truly need to build or what an actual escape route looks like. Your efforts become reactions, not proactive steps toward a defined destination. One shift that accelerates progress is moving beyond mere goals to craft a clear, compelling narrative of your future self and environment. Take a moment now to genuinely envision that ideal future in as much detail as possible. This specificity acts as a powerful navigational beacon, ensuring every action aligns with your ultimate destination. Envision your future. Build your freedom. This insight naturally leads us forward. Connecting deeply with the underlying reasons for your goals is paramount because weak motivation invariably leads to quick abandonment when genuine challenges arise. The first thing to grasp is that a superficial desire for more money or a new job will rarely sustain you through the inevitable friction of career transitions or runway building. Consider a professional who sets a goal to leave their demanding 9-to-5. When the initial excitement fades and the reality of budget constraints or the daunting prospect of skill acquisition sets in, without a profound why, perhaps the desire for more time with family or a deeply felt need for creative autonomy, the effort quickly dissipates. Many professionals discover that pursuing skill stacking for higher earning power becomes arduous. If the motivation is simply transactional, the discipline required to master complex new market skills will falter at the first sign of difficulty or self-doubt. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to anchor their ambitions to their core values, their deepest joys, or their most pressing fears. Think of the moment when negotiation mistakes occurred because you weren't fully convinced of the true value of your time or expertise. That often stems from a lack of clarity on the profound impact that greater financial leverage would have on your life. One shift that accelerates progress is moving beyond surface-level desires to explore the deeply personal significance of your goals. Take a moment now to truly articulate the deepest reason you are pursuing financial freedom or career independence. This clarity transforms aspiration into unshakable resolve. Connect to your why. Unlock your power. With that foundation in place, it's crucial to accurately assess your present financial and career standing. Ignorance of your current position makes planning an effective route towards freedom impossible. The first thing to grasp is that many professionals harbor assumptions about their resources and market value that are simply not grounded in data. Consider a professional desiring to build a financial runway to leave a stressful job. Without knowing their current net worth, assets minus liabilities, and their actual monthly burn rate, any timeline or savings goal is purely speculative, leading to either paralysis or risky, uninformed moves. Many professionals discover that they remain stuck in undesirable career situations because they haven't truly cataloged their marketable skills or understood their true earning power in the current market. This lack of a clear personal balance sheet, both financially and professionally, severely hinders their ability to negotiate effectively or identify viable exit opportunities. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering commitment to a data-driven self-assessment, even if the numbers initially feel uncomfortable. Think of the moment when you avoided looking at your bank statements or updating your resume because it felt daunting. That avoidance itself becomes a significant block to progress. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing the clarity that comes from this objective review, using it as a starting point, not a judgment. Take a moment to honestly reflect on one aspect of your financial or career reality you've been hesitant to fully examine. Understanding your precise starting point is the only way to chart a truly effective course to your desired future. Know your numbers, know your path. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. Identifying the personal beliefs or external factors hindering your progress is crucial, because without acknowledging these barriers, you cannot strategically overcome them. The first thing to grasp is that many professionals carry invisible ceilings, self-limiting beliefs that masquerade as objective reality, dictating their financial and career trajectories. Consider a professional who consistently struggles with negotiation, accepting less than their market value. This isn't always a lack of skill, but often an underlying belief that I'm not worth more, or asking for more is greedy, directly hindering income growth and future leverage. Many professionals discover that their efforts to build a financial runway or pursue a job escape are undermined by a belief that money is hard to come by, or I'm not good with finances. This leads to unconscious budget stress or avoidance of crucial investment decisions, creating an unnecessary skill bottleneck. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their willingness to introspectively challenge these internal narratives and externally analyze systemic blockers. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing how these beliefs manifest in tangible actions. The missed opportunities for client acquisition due to imposter syndrome, or the reluctance to invest in skill stacking because of a fear of failure. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously examining the origin and validity of these deeply held convictions. Take a moment to identify one self-limiting belief you currently hold about your financial capabilities or career potential. Uncovering and addressing these deep-seated convictions transforms your capacity for deliberate action. Challenge your limits, unlock your leverage. Moving from theory into practice, it's crucial to consistently evaluate the effectiveness of your existing routines towards your goals. Blindly continuing ineffective habits wastes precious time and effort, making genuine progress elusive. The first thing to grasp is that many professionals confuse sheer activity with meaningful productivity. They're busy, but not strategically building towards their financial freedom or career escape. Consider a professional who dedicates an hour daily to checking emails or reading industry news. While these actions appear productive without a critical assessment, that time could be a significant drain if it's not leading to client acquisition, skill stacking, or direct income growth. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their rigorous audit of every recurring action. They ask, is this habit truly propelling me towards my runway building, or is it merely maintaining the status quo? Many professionals discover that their budget stress isn't from major expenses, but from a collection of small, unexamined spending habits that offer minimal long-term value. Or, think of the moment when a negotiation mistake occurred because you hadn't dedicated consistent, small efforts to researching market rates or practicing your pitch. One shift that accelerates progress is establishing a periodic review system for your top 3 daily habits, scoring them on their direct positive impact from 1 to 10. This forces intentionality. Take a moment to honestly consider which of your regular daily habits are genuinely propelling your progress towards your professional goals. This intentional evaluation transforms your routines from defaults into deliberate design. Evaluate your effort, elevate your results. Chapter 2: The Income Stacking System. Build wealth while you sleep. I worked with a client, Mark, who consistently hit a salary ceiling in his corporate role. He yearned to build a financial runway for a career shift, to create income streams that didn't depend on trading hours for dollars. However, he felt utterly overwhelmed by the scale of what seemed necessary: massive investments, launching a complex business, or a complete career overhaul. He kept waiting for that big break or a large block of uninterrupted time to make a grand gesture. This mindset of underestimating tiny steps and waiting for monumental efforts kept him perpetually stuck in inaction and frustrated by slow progress. The first thing to grasp is that true wealth and career independence are often built through the relentless compounding of minuscule, almost imperceptible actions, not heroic, infrequent sprints. Many professionals discover that their inability to build a financial runway for an exit plan stems from underestimating the power of automatically saving just $5 a day or consistently dedicating 15 minutes to learning a high-demand market skill. These seem insignificant individually, but over months, they create undeniable leverage and earning power. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their acute awareness that every minute spent, every dollar allocated, is either building or detracting from their future. Consider a time when you delayed a crucial client acquisition step because it felt too small to make a difference. That delay, multiplied over weeks, becomes a significant bottleneck. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that small, consistent acts of self-investment, whether it's reviewing your budget for 10 minutes or updating your professional network by sending one message, dramatically reduce future budget stress and negotiation mistakes. One shift that accelerates progress is internalizing that a 60-second task today is always more impactful than a 60-minute task that never starts. Take a moment to notice where this principle already shows up in your own decisions and how you might leverage it. It is the accumulation of these tiny, deliberate efforts that ultimately transforms your financial reality and career options. Embrace the small, build the immense. This insight naturally leads us forward. To truly build an income stacking system, you must learn the fundamental 4-step process driving all habits. Ignoring this loop makes breaking detrimental habits or forming beneficial ones extraordinarily difficult, if not impossible. The first thing to grasp is that every action, whether it's checking social media or strategically investing, follows a predictable pattern: cue, craving, response, reward. Consider a professional who consistently overspends, leading to budget stress and hindering their financial runway. The cue might be a stressful workday, the craving relief, the response impulsive online shopping, and the reward a temporary distraction. Without identifying this loop, they're trapped. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power or gain leverage through skill stacking fail not from a lack of desire, but from a failure to design for these habit loops. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to reverse engineer their habits. Think of the moment when you found yourself repeatedly making negotiation mistakes despite knowing better. Perhaps the cue was the pressure of the moment. The craving was for immediate agreement. The response was caving too quickly, and the reward was simply ending the awkward conversation. One shift that accelerates progress is identifying the cue for a common daily action you take, then consciously altering the response or reward. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that even client acquisition friction can be reduced by recognizing the habit loop that leads to procrastination versus proactive outreach. Take a moment to identify the cue for a common daily action you take, perhaps your morning coffee or checking your phone. Mastering these fundamental habit loops grants you profound control over your actions and ultimately your financial destiny. Understand the loop, master your life. Moving from theory into practice. Effective habit formation relies on intelligent system design, not just sheer grit. Believing willpower alone is sufficient invariably leads to frequent failure and burnout. The first thing to grasp is that your personal reserve of willpower is finite, like a battery that drains throughout the day, whereas a well-designed system works tirelessly in the background. Consider a professional who attempts to save aggressively for a financial runway, relying solely on their daily discipline to resist discretionary spending. When a stressful day at work hits, or an unexpected social invitation arises, their depleted willpower often crumbles, leading to budget stress and setbacks. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking falter because they approach it with pure determination rather than a strategic framework. Learning a new, complex market skill requires consistent effort, and without systems like automated study reminders, dedicated learning environments, or pre-planned practice sessions, the initial burst of motivation quickly fades. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their acute awareness of willpower's limitations and their proactive design of self-sustaining systems for growth, whether it's for client acquisition or avoiding negotiation mistakes. One shift that accelerates progress is treating habit formation as an engineering problem. How can you make the desired action inevitable and the undesirable action impossible? Think of a habit where willpower has failed you in the past and consider why. True, sustainable progress is forged by intelligently designed environments that make success the path of least resistance. Design your systems, empower your success. Now here's where the real shift begins. To truly build an income stacking system, you must master the technique of linking a desired new habit to an existing one. Trying to force new habits in isolation creates tremendous resistance and friction, making consistency almost impossible. The first thing to grasp is that your brain loves efficiency and predictability. When you introduce a completely new behavior without an anchor, it feels like an extra burden, demanding significant willpower. Consider a professional aiming to increase their earning power by dedicating time to learning a new, high-demand market skill. If they try to simply find time for this new skill, it often gets pushed aside by urgent work demands or simple fatigue. Many professionals discover that building a financial runway for a job escape or mitigating budget stress becomes far easier when they don't try to invent new time slots from scratch. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their strategic use of existing routines as launchpads for new, productive behaviors. Think of the moment when you brush your teeth. That action is so ingrained it requires no thought. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously pairing a small new habit, like reviewing your investment app for 2 minutes or writing down one client acquisition idea, immediately after an existing, solid habit. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that this habit stacking technique makes the new behavior feel less like a chore and more like a natural extension of your day, reducing negotiation mistakes that might arise from mental exhaustion. Take a moment to consider a new small habit you'd like to adopt and one existing routine you could immediately attach it to, starting tomorrow. Leverage the power of established patterns to make your new growth effortless. Link your actions, lock in your growth. This insight naturally leads us forward. To truly build wealth and achieve financial freedom, you must design your surroundings to make good habits effortless and bad habits impossible. Relying on sheer memory or fluctuating motivation for cues is fundamentally unreliable and will lead to inconsistent progress. The first thing to grasp is that your environment is a silent, powerful architect of your choices. Consider a professional aiming to build a financial runway by consistently tracking their expenses. If their tracking app is buried on a phone screen, or their financial statements are haphazardly filed, the friction to perform the good habit becomes too high, leading to budget stress. Many professionals discover that efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking falter because their learning materials are out of sight or their dedicated workspace is cluttered. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate orchestration of their physical and digital environments. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming, partly because your outreach tools weren't readily accessible. Another factor that changes everything is making the cues for desired actions obvious. One shift that accelerates progress is placing something helpful for a new habit in plain sight, a book on market skills on your pillow, or your savings tracker widget on your home screen. This primes you for action without requiring willpower. Conversely, making bad habits invisible, like moving tempting snacks out of easy reach, instantly reduces their pull. Take a moment to identify one small way you could subtly alter your immediate environment to support a desired financial or career habit. Conscious environmental design is a profound act of leverage, making your desired future the default. Engineer your environment. Shape your destiny. Chapter 3. Environment is Destiny. Architect your automated success. I recall a client, Sarah, a brilliant marketing manager who desperately wanted to acquire advanced data analytics skills to pivot her career and boost her income. She invested in courses and textbooks, but weeks turned into months and the materials sat untouched. Her home, after a grueling day, was a sanctuary of comfort, the television remote within arm's reach, tempting snacks on the counter, a plush sofa calling her name. Every evening, the environment itself gently nudged her towards passive relaxation, overriding her conscious intention to study. She found herself perpetually stuck, experiencing a skill bottleneck not from lack of ability, but from a powerfully designed environment pushing her towards default behaviors. Take a moment to notice where a small detail in your environment currently influences your choices without you realizing it. Your environment subtly dictates your choices and behaviors. Ignoring environmental cues allows unwanted habits to flourish, effectively sabotaging your progress towards financial freedom. The first thing to grasp is that your surroundings are not neutral. They are constantly shaping your actions, either for or against your financial and career goals. Consider a professional trying to build a financial runway. If their home office is cluttered or distracting, it directly sabotages focused work on side projects or client acquisition, leading to unnecessary budget stress. Many professionals discover that efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking falter when their learning materials are not easily accessible or visible. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate orchestration of their immediate surroundings. Another factor that changes everything is making desired actions visible and easy. For instance, placing your budget tracker on your desktop or your networking contact list by your phone makes proactive financial management effortless. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously eliminating friction for good habits and increasing it for detrimental ones. By proactively shaping your space, you sculpt your behaviors. Design your world, define your results. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly automate success, you must increase the appeal of desired habits through strategic placement and immediate relevant reward. Forcing yourself to endure unattractive habits with willpower alone leads to short-lived effort and inevitable abandonment. The first thing to grasp is that humans are fundamentally driven by pleasure and the avoidance of pain. If your financial freedom activities feel like a chore, you'll naturally resist them. Consider a professional trying to build a financial runway by consistently tracking their expenses, which they find tedious. If there's no immediate, small reward or an element of enjoyment built into the process, they quickly fall back into budget stress. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking falter because the learning process itself is dry or isolated, offering no immediate gratification. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ingenuity in making productive behaviors enticing. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt like too much effort. It's often because the process was designed to be purely transactional, not intrinsically rewarding. One shift that accelerates progress is temptation bundling, pairing an activity you need to do with an activity you want to do. For instance, only allowing yourself to listen to your favorite podcast while reviewing your budget or researching market skills. Another factor that changes everything is ensuring a small, genuine reward immediately follows the desired action. This reinforces the positive habit loop, making it more appealing next time. Take a moment to identify one desired financial or career habit and brainstorm how you could make it genuinely more appealing or immediately rewarding. By making good habits more attractive, you shift from effort to ease. Make it desirable, make it done. This insight naturally leads us forward. True consistency stems from making desired actions incredibly easy and convenient, not from relying on perpetual bursts of motivation or excitement. Waiting for inspiration or a feeling of readiness actively delays crucial progress towards your financial freedom. The first thing to grasp is that your brain prioritizes ease. If an action requires significant effort, it will naturally seek an easier alternative, even if the easier option is detrimental to your long-term goals. Consider a professional trying to build a financial runway by consistently tracking expenses. If the process is cumbersome, requiring multiple steps or specialized software that's not readily accessible, they'll quickly revert to avoiding it, leading to budget stress. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking falter because the learning resources aren't immediately at hand or the study environment requires too much setup. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their relentless pursuit of friction reduction. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt insurmountable because the next step wasn't clear, or the communication tool wasn't integrated. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing the 2-minute rule. If a desired action takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This applies to things like opening your investment app, sending a quick networking message, or updating your negotiation notes. Another factor that changes everything is pre-preparing your environment so that the desired action is the path of least resistance. Take a moment to name one habit you perform purely out of convenience, and now consider how you could apply that principle to a beneficial financial or career habit. Make the path clear, and progress becomes inevitable. Simplify the action, amplify the result. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. Systematically reducing barriers to performing positive actions is non-negotiable. High friction points make even simple, beneficial habits feel daunting, often leading to paralysis or abandonment. The first thing to grasp is that your brain is wired to conserve energy. Any perceived obstacle, no matter how small, adds to the mental cost of an action. Consider a professional trying to build a financial runway for a job escape. If the process of logging into their savings account, navigating to the transfer option, and inputting the amount feels tedious or takes too many clicks, they're far less likely to consistently contribute, leading to budget stress and delayed freedom. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking falter, not from lack of ability, but from friction in their learning environment. If the software for a new market skill isn't easily accessible, or the online course requires a complex login sequence every time, that small barrier can quickly become a skill bottleneck. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate, almost obsessive, reduction of these micro-obstacles. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction seemed insurmountable simply because preparing for outreach required too many steps. One shift that accelerates progress is proactively identifying and removing even the smallest hurdles for habits you wish to cultivate. Another factor that changes everything is making the desired action a single, uninterrupted flow. Take a moment to consider one habit you want to start and what single, small obstacle currently stands in its way. By removing these points of resistance, you transform aspiration into effortless action. Clear the path, build your momentum. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To genuinely architect automated success, you must proactively design your environment to prevent unwanted behaviors. Relying on self-control in tempting situations is, quite simply, a losing battle against your primal instincts and limited willpower. The first thing to grasp is that simply knowing a habit is bad isn't enough. The environment often conspires against your best intentions. Consider a professional attempting to build a financial runway for a job escape. If high-end online retailers are bookmarked and easily accessible, or notifications for tempting sales constantly pop up, that environment is actively pushing them towards impulse spending, leading to budget stress despite their desire to save. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking are routinely sabotaged by digital distractions. If social media tabs are always open or personal email notifications constantly appear during focused work time, that environment makes deep work on new market skills almost impossible, creating a skill bottleneck. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their strategic creation of friction for undesirable actions. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction led to procrastination. Often, it was due to a cluttered workspace or open entertainment tabs pulling focus. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that making the bad habit invisible or difficult to access dramatically increases your success rate. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously removing one distracting item from your workspace, your phone, a specific website, or even just an unnecessary application. Take a moment to consider how your current environment might be subtly encouraging a habit you want to stop. Proactive environmental design is not about deprivation, but about intentional freedom. Control your space, command your choices. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. To truly automate your success, you must arrange your surroundings so that beneficial habit cues are ever present. Relying on random cues, or worse, no cues at all, leads to inconsistent action and missed opportunities for growth. The first thing to grasp is that your environment is constantly communicating with you, subtly nudging you towards certain actions. If the cue for a desired action isn't clear and consistent, that action simply won't happen reliably. Consider a professional aiming to build a financial runway by reviewing their budget daily. If the budget tracker is buried in a folder on their computer, they'll likely forget or postpone the task, leading to ongoing budget stress. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking falter because their learning materials aren't visible or easily accessible. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate creation of a cue-rich environment for positive habits. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt high because you had to search for your contact list or sales script. One shift that accelerates progress is placing your workout clothes by your bed the night before, or your book on market skills open on your desk in the morning. These visual cues serve as powerful, silent reminders. Another factor that changes everything is using digital prompts strategically, a daily calendar reminder to review your investment portfolio, for instance, or to update your negotiation insights. Take a moment to identify one beneficial habit you want to cultivate and how you could make its cue undeniably obvious in your immediate surroundings. By making good habits seen, you make them done. Design the cue, drive the action. Chapter 4, The 1% Advantage, Micro Habits for Macro Financial Gains. I once guided a client, David, who desperately wanted to build a financial runway and transition into a more autonomous career. He was bright, ambitious, but suffered from what I call grand gesture syndrome. He'd start strong, transfer a large sum to savings, or spend an entire weekend furiously learning a new market skill. But when immediate, dramatic results weren't visible, frustration would set in. He'd look at his bank balance after a few weeks, see a seemingly insignificant increase, or feel his coding skills weren't advancing fast enough, and he'd quit, believing the effort wasn't worth it. This pattern left him perpetually stuck, hitting salary ceilings and experiencing burnout cycles, always waiting for a mythical big break that never materialized. He underestimated the silent, relentless power of tiny, consistent improvements. The first thing to grasp is that what appears insignificant on a daily basis compounded over time, becomes truly transformative. Many professionals discover that their inability to build a financial runway stems from dismissing small, automated savings contributions, viewing them as too paltry to make a difference. Yet, consistent microdeposits, over years, accumulate into substantial capital, offering real leverage for risky transitions or job escape. Think of the moment when you dismiss learning a new skill for just 15 minutes a day. That 15 minutes compounded is 90 hours of focused learning over a year, a significant skill bottleneck broken. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering faith in this compounding effect. They understand that a 1% improvement in their negotiation skills each week or a single client acquisition email sent daily might seem inconsequential, but these small actions prevent budget stress and dramatically increase earning power over time. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that patience is not passive. It is the active commitment to sustained micro-actions when immediate gratification is absent. Take a moment now to genuinely appreciate the power of adding $1 to your savings account today. This cultivates the discipline necessary to persist through the plateau of invisible progress, ultimately leading to macro financial gains. Embrace the consistent small steps, for they are the foundation of monumental achievements. Small seeds, mighty harvests. This insight naturally leads us forward. You must appreciate the profound value of unnoticeable daily efforts over flashy, sporadic attempts. Expecting immediate dramatic results inevitably leads to discouragement and abandonment of crucial long-term goals. The first thing to grasp is that visible progress is rarely linear. True growth often happens beneath the surface for extended periods before manifesting dramatically. Consider a professional attempting to build a financial runway for a job escape. They might save aggressively for a month, see a modest increase, and feel it's insufficient, leading to budget stress. What they miss is the silent compounding of consistent small contributions over years. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking falter because they're looking for an overnight transformation, not gradual mastery of market skills. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing the fact that reading just one page of a finance book daily or spending 10 minutes refining a client acquisition strategy seems negligible in the short term. However, these consistent, unglamorous actions build a formidable knowledge base and practical expertise. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that negotiation mistakes often stem from a lack of consistent, small-scale preparation, not a sudden flaw in technique. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering commitment to these quiet, daily disciplines. Take a moment to notice where this principle already shows up in your own decisions, perhaps in a skill you've slowly mastered without realizing it. Embrace the unseen work, for it is the bedrock of future breakthrough. Trust the process, reap the rewards, moving from theory into practice. True success often manifests from delayed gratification and persistent effort, not from immediate payoffs. Expecting instant gratification fundamentally undermines long-term investment in your financial future and career growth. The first thing to grasp is that many of the most powerful financial forces, like compound interest, operate silently and gradually, only becoming dramatically evident over extended periods. Consider a professional attempting to build a financial runway. If they expect overnight wealth from a small investment, they're prone to chasing speculative fads, leading to budget stress and risky transitions, rather than adhering to a disciplined, long-term strategy. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking falter because the acquisition of truly valuable market skills is a marathon, not a sprint. The deep expertise that commands higher salaries and offers greater leverage doesn't appear after a single online course. It requires months and years of consistent, often unglamorous learning and application. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their capacity for strategic patience. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt like a barrier, and you wanted to abandon the slow burn of relationship building for a quick sale. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously cultivating an appreciation for the invisible work that pays off later. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that negotiation mistakes often stem from a desire to close quickly rather than patiently building a stronger position. Invest 5 minutes in learning about compound interest today. Truly internalize its power. This principle applies to all areas of growth. Plant today, harvest tomorrow. Now, here's where the real shift begins. To truly leverage the 1% advantage, you must develop a practical list of tiny financial habits easily integrated into your day. Believing only complex strategies work prevents entry-level action, often keeping professionals from ever starting their journey towards financial freedom. The first thing to grasp is that individuals often feel overwhelmed by the perceived grandeur of wealth building, waiting for large investments or sophisticated plans. This paralysis leads to persistent budget stress and a stalled financial runway, simply by dismissing consistent micro-actions. Many professionals discover their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking falter, imagining they need hours of study rather than leveraging small pockets of time. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their keen ability to identify moments where a 30-second bank balance review or a 2-minute investment tracker update can be seamlessly woven into their routine. Consider putting off a client acquisition task, thinking it required a huge time block, when a 60-second outreach message would have moved the needle. One shift that accelerates progress is recognizing these small, almost invisible daily actions eliminate negotiation mistakes and build robust financial intelligence. Take a moment to simply review your bank balance for 30 seconds tomorrow morning. Notice how this small act brings clarity and focus. This cultivates the discipline necessary to persist through the plateau of invisible progress, ultimately leading to macro financial gains. Consistent, tiny actions, monumental outcomes. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly leverage the 1% advantage and achieve consistent financial progress, you must embrace automation, effectively removing the need for active daily effort. Relying on manual actions, no matter how well-intentioned, inevitably introduces human error, forgotten tasks, and crippling inconsistency. The first thing to grasp is that your willpower and memory are finite resources. They will fail you. Consider a professional striving to build a financial runway for a job escape. If they depend on remembering to manually transfer funds to savings each payday, life's demands or unexpected budget stress often intervene, leading to missed contributions and a perpetually stagnant growth. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking are sabotaged by the very act of manually initiating learning sessions or tracking progress. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their strategic implementation of set-it-and-forget-it systems. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming, often because every follow-up or lead nurture had to be manually triggered. Another factor that changes everything is acknowledging that even small negotiation mistakes can be mitigated by automated reminders or preset templates. One shift that accelerates progress is automating your financial discipline. Take a moment to identify one financial task you consistently forget or dread and how automation could transform it. Set up a recurring $5 transfer to savings. This ensures consistent progress without requiring a daily battle against procrastination. By delegating consistency to systems, you free your mental energy for higher value activities. Automate the baseline. Elevate your future. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. To truly leverage the 1% advantage, you must acknowledge and celebrate even the smallest steps forward. Ignoring these micro-wins diminishes your motivation and distorts your perceived progress, making the long game feel impossibly arduous. The first thing to grasp is that your brain is wired for reward. When you complete a small, beneficial habit, providing a quick, positive reinforcement closes the habit loop, making you more likely to repeat it. Consider a professional striving to build a financial runway for a job escape. They might diligently transfer a small sum to savings each week, but if they never pause to acknowledge that consistent effort, the lack of immediate dramatic results can lead to budget stress and the feeling of going nowhere. Mentally reward yourself for completing a micro habit today, even if it's just for a few seconds. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking falter not from a lack of learning, but from a failure to celebrate mastering a new concept or successfully completing a short practice session in a market skill. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their conscious effort to create positive feedback loops for themselves. Think of the moment when you send a client acquisition email. If you don't mentally acknowledge that small victory, that effort is lost, and the client acquisition friction feels greater next time. One shift that accelerates progress is making it a habit to mentally reward yourself for completing a micro habit, a quiet moment of satisfaction, a small internal cheer. This reinforces the positive connection between effort and outcome, even when the external outcome is still compounding. This simple act fuels your persistence, transforming small actions into an unstoppable force. Celebrate the small, unleash the big. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. While the power of individual micro-actions is profound, true macro financial gains come from spreading these small, consistent improvements across various critical areas. Focusing obsessively on a single habit risks neglecting other crucial components of your wealth-building ecosystem, creating blind spots that can derail progress. The first thing to grasp is that a robust financial runway for job escape isn't merely about saving. It also demands concurrent attention to income growth, debt reduction, and skill development. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking falter because they focus intently on one market skill, overlooking the equal importance of refining negotiation tactics or streamlining client acquisition friction. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their strategic diversification of micro habits. They understand that a few minutes dedicated daily to financial learning is as vital as an automated savings transfer. Consider a time when hyper-focus on one aspect of your career led to budget stress elsewhere, perhaps by neglecting a quick check of market trends. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously allocating tiny chunks of effort to different interconnected financial and career domains each day. For instance, a 2-minute review of your investment portfolio, followed by a quick read of an industry article to boost market skills, and then a brief update to your client outreach list. Take a moment now to identify just one small habit you could integrate for dedicated financial learning. This holistic approach ensures comprehensive and resilient growth, building a future insulated from single points of failure. Broaden your habits, amplify your wealth. This insight naturally leads us forward. To truly harness the profound power of micro habits, you must cultivate unwavering patience as these small actions consistently accumulate into significant, life-changing outcomes. Impatience is the silent saboteur, often leading individuals to abandon genuinely effective strategies prematurely, right before the exponential growth phase truly begins. The first thing to grasp is that visible progress in wealth building or career transformation is rarely linear. It's an S-curve, slow, seemingly flat growth initially, followed by a rapid acceleration once critical mass is reached. Many professionals discover that their efforts to build a financial runway for a job escape falter, not from a lack of effort in saving, but from quitting too early because the balance grows slowly at first, leading to chronic budget stress and disillusionment. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deep, almost intuitive understanding of this delayed gratification principle. They know that mastering new, high-demand market skills isn't an overnight event. It's the consistent daily practice and focused learning that compounds into indispensable expertise and powerful leverage over years, effectively breaking through career skill bottlenecks. Consider a time when client acquisition friction led you to abandon a promising lead after just a few interactions, simply because the sale didn't close immediately, missing out on the long-term relationship. Another factor that changes everything is appreciating that negotiation mistakes are frequently born from a desire for quick resolution, rather than allowing a strategic position to mature and strengthen over time. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously embracing the long game, actively seeking out evidence of compounding. For example, regularly reviewing a graph showing long-term compounding returns on your investments can profoundly reinforce this patience. Take a moment to notice where this principle already shows up in your own decisions, perhaps in a skill you've slowly mastered or a relationship you've patiently nurtured. Patience isn't waiting, it's active cultivation. Trust the accumulation, unlock the abundance. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To create robust financial buffers, you must implement small, consistent actions. Neglecting consistent saving leaves you profoundly vulnerable to unexpected expenses and limits your strategic options. The first thing to grasp is that a strong financial runway for job escape isn't built through a single large deposit, but a continuous stream of micro-contributions. Consider a professional aiming to pivot careers. Without a substantial buffer, an unexpected car repair or medical bill immediately creates budget stress, forcing them to delay their transition or accept a less than ideal opportunity out of desperation. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering commitment to building these reserves, understanding that this capital provides immense leverage. Think of the moment when negotiating a raise with your boss or seeking better client acquisition terms. A healthy emergency fund allows you to walk away from unfavorable situations, preventing negotiation mistakes and empowering you to demand your worth. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that even seemingly small financial setbacks can completely derail efforts to acquire new market skills or build a side income if no buffer exists to absorb the impact. One shift that accelerates progress is making the active monitoring and incremental growth of this buffer a simple, recurring micro-habit. Check your emergency fund balance today. Take a moment to notice where the absence of a financial buffer has constrained your past decisions. A robust financial buffer is your ultimate freedom tool, meticulously built one consistent step at a time. Fortify your foundation, safeguard your future. Chapter 5. The Productivity Power Stack. Reclaiming your workday. I once worked with a client, Mark, a dedicated marketing director who constantly felt chained to his desk, yet couldn't seem to break through his salary ceiling or find time to launch the side business he dreamed of. He'd spend his days responding to every email immediately, jumping between tasks, and attending countless meetings, often feeling exhausted but not accomplished. He genuinely believed he was maximizing his time, unaware that these subtle, reactive routines were silently eroding his capacity for deep strategic work. This constant context switching and perceived busyness prevented him from developing new market skills or dedicating consistent effort to his exit plan, leaving him perpetually stuck in a cycle of burnout, wondering where all his productive hours went. The first thing to grasp is that your workday is often riddled with subtle, unconscious routines that silently siphon your most valuable resource, focused time. Unawareness of these time-wasting habits prevents effective intervention, keeping you from building a financial runway or increasing your earning power. Many professionals discover that their efforts to skill stack or accelerate client acquisition are derailed not by a lack of motivation, but by a cascade of minor interruptions and reactive habits. Consider a time when you felt incredibly busy, but ended the day with little significant progress on your most important goals. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their acute awareness and deliberate management of these productivity leaks. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that these micro-distractions break your flow, making deep work, the kind that truly builds value and leverage, nearly impossible. One shift that accelerates progress is simply observing your workday without judgment. By identifying these patterns, you reclaim precious hours. Take a moment to consider how a busy day might actually be filled with low-value, unnoticed activities. Track 30 minutes of your workday activity tomorrow. Awareness is the first step to reclaiming your time. Observe your day, master your output. Now here's where the real shift begins. To truly reclaim your workday and drive towards financial freedom, you must intentionally design a powerful morning routine that sets a productive tone for the entire day. A reactive morning, one dictated by external demands like emails or social media, inevitably leads to a day where you're constantly playing defense, not offense. The first thing to grasp is that your morning is not merely a warm-up. It is the most powerful leverage point in your entire day. Many professionals discover that their efforts to build a financial runway for a job escape are consistently derailed because their strategic work, like developing new market skills or refining their exit plan, never gets prioritized. Instead, a reactive start means crucial, high-value activities are pushed aside by urgent but not important tasks, leading to perpetual salary ceilings and burnout cycles. Think of the moment when you tried to focus on client acquisition, but the morning's chaos already left your mind fragmented. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate protection of these early hours for their highest leverage activities. This isn't about rigid perfection, it's about conscious choice. Another factor that changes everything is pre-committing to one key productive activity before your day even starts. This might be 15 minutes of focused learning for skill stacking, reviewing negotiation strategies, or planning your outreach. This intentionality provides mental clarity, preventing reactive decision-making or negotiation mistakes later in the day. Take a moment to consider how different your week might look if you consistently dedicated your first hour to your most important goal. Plan one productive activity for tomorrow morning and execute it before the world demands your attention. This single act transforms your workday from a scramble to a structured path toward your most ambitious objectives. Master the morning, master your destiny. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. True productivity stems from focused action on high-value tasks, not from the relentless pursuit of constant activity. Mistaking busyness for actual productivity leads inevitably to burnout, stalled progress, and a perpetual feeling of being overwhelmed without corresponding results. The first thing to grasp is that not all tasks are created equal. Some move the needle dramatically, while others are merely administrative filler. Consider a professional striving to build a financial runway for a job escape. If they spend hours organizing emails or attending non-essential meetings, these busy activities consume time that could be dedicated to high-leverage work like developing new market skills or refining their exit strategy. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking falter because they're constantly reacting to boss dynamics or client acquisition friction rather than proactively focusing on strategic development. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ruthless prioritization of tasks that directly contribute to their income growth or long-term career strategy. Think of the moment when you spent an entire afternoon on a task that yielded minimal impact, only to find yourself scrambling at day's end to address a crucial negotiation point. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that high-leverage activities, even if difficult, are the true drivers of progress. One shift that accelerates progress is identifying one low-value task you perform daily and intentionally deferring or eliminating it. This creates space for what truly matters. Take a moment to identify one low-value task you do daily. Focus on impact, not just effort. Prioritize wisely. Prosper deeply. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. To achieve true productivity and accelerate your path to financial freedom, you must intentionally create dedicated blocks of uninterrupted time for your most important work. Constant interruptions fragment focus, reduce output quality, and ultimately prevent the deep strategic thinking required for high-level success. The first thing to grasp is that every interruption carries a significant cost of context switching, where it takes several minutes to regain your previous level of concentration. Many professionals discover that their efforts to build a financial runway, increase earning power through skill stacking, or effectively manage client acquisition friction are constantly undermined by pings, emails, and spontaneous meetings. Consider a time when you were deeply engaged in developing a new market skill, only to have a notification pull you away, breaking your flow and extending the learning process. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ruthless protection of these focused work blocks, often communicating these boundaries to colleagues or even their boss dynamics. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that negotiation mistakes frequently occur when your focus is fragmented, leading to oversight or hurried decisions. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously turning off all non-essential notifications for a dedicated period, even just 15 minutes initially. This simple act trains your brain to sustain focus. Take a moment to notice how much mental energy you expend each day just trying to refocus after an interruption. By minimizing these disruptions, you create the mental space for high-quality work. Protect your focus, amplify your results. This insight naturally leads us forward. To overcome inertia and immediately begin difficult tasks, you must strategically use habit stacking. Delaying tasks doesn't make them disappear. It merely creates anxiety, reduces overall efficiency, and ultimately stifles your progress toward financial freedom. The first thing to grasp is that the hardest part of any task is almost always starting it. Many professionals discover that their efforts to build a financial runway or increase earning power through skill stacking are routinely undermined by procrastination on a single daunting activity. Consider a time when a critical project for your boss or a complex negotiation sat untouched, generating more stress than the actual work would have. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their mastery of breaking down these psychological barriers. One shift that accelerates progress is explicitly linking a new, desired behavior to an existing, established habit. For example, after your morning coffee, you will immediately spend 5 minutes reviewing your market skills for client acquisition. This leverages the momentum of an existing routine. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that often, the first 5 minutes of a task are enough to propel you through the rest. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt high. Often, simply sending the first email opens the floodgates for further action. Break down a daunting task into a manageable 5-minute step. This micro-action significantly reduces the mental friction of starting. Take a moment to notice where this principle already shows up in your own decisions, perhaps in how you transition from one casual activity to another. Start small. Gain momentum. Chapter 6. Wealth Wiring, Financial Habits That Build Fortunes. I worked with a promising young engineer, Sarah, who was determined to build a financial runway to escape her demanding corporate role. She launched into an aggressively restrictive budget, cutting out nearly all discretionary spending. No more coffees, no dinners out, even canceling her gym membership. For 2 weeks, she felt empowered. But by week 3, the deprivation hit hard. She resented every dollar spent, felt isolated, and eventually, in a moment of frustration, splurged on something entirely unnecessary, then abandoned the entire budget, convinced she lacked discipline. This cycle of strictness, followed by rebellion, left her perpetually stuck, unable to fund skill stacking or manage the risks of a transition, trapped beneath a self-imposed salary ceiling. The first thing to grasp is that conventional budgeting methods, with their emphasis on strict, restrictive categories, are often fundamentally flawed for long-term adherence. They rely too heavily on willpower and ignore basic human psychology, inevitably leading to budget stress and eventual abandonment, precisely when you need a financial runway for job escape. Many professionals discover that their attempts to increase earning power or build capital for new market skills are derailed by the psychological backlash of feeling deprived. Consider a time when you tried to enforce an unrealistic financial rule and quickly gave up. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that sustainable financial habits are built on systems, not just sacrifice. Another factor that changes everything is moving beyond judgment to observation. Instead of dictating future spending, one shift that accelerates progress is simply reviewing your past financial behavior to identify patterns and areas for gentle optimization. This approach reduces the all-or-nothing pressure that leads to negotiation mistakes with yourself. Review your last month's bank statement. Take a moment to simply observe where your money went without any self-recrimination. This provides clarity. This subtle shift from restriction to awareness builds lasting wealth and genuine financial freedom. Observe your flow, master your fortune. Now here's where the real shift begins. To consistently grow your wealth and build a substantial financial runway, you must set up automatic investments that operate without requiring your daily effort. Relying on manual investments inevitably leads to inconsistency, forgotten contributions, and missed opportunities for compounding. The first thing to grasp is that your willpower, like any muscle, fatigues. When you have to actively decide to invest, life's demands, from budget stress to managing a challenging boss, can easily distract you, pushing financial priorities to the back burner. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking and then leverage that income into investments are often undermined by this very human tendency. Think of the moment when a market dip or a momentary fear stopped you from making a planned investment, leading to a long-term regret. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that automation removes emotion and human fallibility from the investment equation. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that small, consistent automated investments over time far outweigh larger sporadic manual contributions, preventing typical negotiation mistakes when trying to fund a risky transition. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing the pay yourself first mentality by automating your investment contributions immediately after your paycheck arrives. Research one low-cost index fund for 5 minutes today. This simple micro-action provides the foundation for setting up that automated wealth-building system. Take a moment to notice the peace of mind that comes from knowing your money is working for you silently and consistently. Automate your growth, secure your freedom, moving from theory into practice. To truly build lasting wealth and achieve financial freedom, it's critical to understand that the process is more about managing and strategically growing your existing income through disciplined habits. The pervasive belief that simply earning more money alone solves all financial problems is a fallacy that traps countless individuals in cycles of perpetual budget stress. The first thing to grasp is that without a fundamental shift in spending and saving behaviors, a higher salary often leads to lifestyle inflation, not increased savings or a robust financial runway for job escape. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking or successfully navigating a negotiation with their boss are ultimately undermined by consumption habits that expand with every pay raise. Consider a time when a bonus or salary increase, initially exciting, seemed to vanish without a significant impact on your long-term financial goals. What separates consistent earners from the rest is not merely their income level, but their unwavering commitment to a handful of strategic wealth-building habits, regardless of how much they earn. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction finally led to a significant new contract. If the additional income from that win isn't channeled into purposeful savings or investments, it provides little lasting leverage. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that the power of compound interest and strategic investment magnifies money-saving habits exponentially over time. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously adopting and adhering to one new money-saving micro-habit. Name one money-saving habit you could adopt this week. Take a moment to consider how that single habit consistently applied could shift your financial trajectory. True wealth is built not just on what you earn, but on what you keep and grow. Earn wisely, live deliberately. With that foundation in place, let's address a critical component of wealth wiring: debt. To truly build fortunes and secure your financial freedom, you must implement a clear, consistent strategy to pay down debt. Without a system, debt feels overwhelming, perpetuating stress and undermining any attempt to build a financial runway for job escape. The first thing to grasp is that debt isn't just financial, it's a psychological weight limiting your choices and dictating your career trajectory. Consider a time when debt kept you tied to a job, enduring unfavorable boss dynamics, simply because you couldn't afford to take a risk. Many professionals discover their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking or navigating a negotiation are hampered by debt. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive, systematic debt elimination. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt insurmountable because you were pressured to take any work, regardless of long-term goals, due to urgent financial obligations. Debt diverts capital that could otherwise be invested in new market skills or entrepreneurial ventures. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that small, consistent payments, when strategically applied, create powerful momentum. One shift that accelerates progress is identifying your smallest debt balance and committing to aggressively pay it down first. This debt snowball method provides psychological wins that fuel motivation. Take a moment to consider the profound liberation that eliminating even your smallest debt would bring to your mental and financial landscape. This strategic approach transforms overwhelming debt into a solvable series of steps, freeing up capital and mental bandwidth for true wealth creation. Confront debt, claim freedom. This insight naturally leads us forward. To truly wire yourself for lasting wealth and accelerate your journey to financial freedom, you must cultivate mindful spending habits that deeply align with your financial goals. Unconscious spending is a silent, insidious force that relentlessly erodes wealth and critically delays your freedom, keeping you tethered to the very job you wish to escape. The first thing to grasp is that many individuals are acutely aware of their income, but blissfully unaware of where every dollar actually goes. This disconnect perpetuates budget stress and hinders the ability to build a robust financial runway. Many professionals discover their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking or to negotiate a better salary with their boss are ultimately undermined by small, habitual expenditures that don't serve their larger objectives. Think of the moment when a significant bonus or raise seemed to vanish without a trace, leaving you no closer to investing in new market skills or reducing client acquisition friction for your entrepreneurial venture. What separates consistent earners from the rest is not just how much they make, but how consciously and deliberately they allocate every resource. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that every dollar spent unconsciously is a dollar not saved, invested, or directed towards your exit planning. One shift that accelerates progress is a simple act of radical awareness. By tracking your spending, even for a short period, you gain invaluable insight into where your money is truly flowing. Track every dollar you spend for one full day. Take a moment to notice where your money is flowing without your full awareness. This is where your power lies. This clarity empowers you to redirect your financial resources toward your highest aspirations and escape plan with precision and intent. Spend with purpose. Build with power. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly wire yourself for lasting wealth and ensure your path to financial freedom is resilient, you must build and consistently maintain a robust emergency fund through automated contributions. Neglecting an emergency fund leaves you profoundly vulnerable to unforeseen events, transforming minor setbacks into major financial crises that derail your entire plan for job escape or career transition. The first thing to grasp is that this fund is not an investment. It is insurance for your financial future, providing the stability required to take calculated risks. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking or to gain leverage in a negotiation with their boss are severely limited without this critical buffer. Consider a time when an unexpected car repair or medical bill created immediate budget stress, forcing you to delay investing in new market skills or accept less favorable client acquisition terms out of desperation. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering commitment to establishing this foundational safety net, recognizing it as the bedrock of their financial independence. Another factor that changes everything is the psychological freedom an emergency fund provides. It allows you to confidently pursue opportunities, knowing you can weather a temporary dip in income or a risky transition without panicking. One shift that accelerates progress is making small, consistent transfers to a separate, easily accessible savings account, ensuring that even minor contributions accumulate over time. Transfer $10 into a separate savings account today. Take a moment to consider the profound sense of security and choice this single, consistent habit could offer you in the face of life's inevitable curveballs. This automated consistency protects your financial journey and empowers your strategic decisions, providing true peace of mind. Build your buffer, protect your freedom. Now here's where the real shift begins. To truly wire yourself for lasting wealth and accelerate your journey toward financial freedom, you must incorporate small, regular learning habits to consistently boost your financial acumen. A persistent lack of financial knowledge inevitably leads to poor decision-making, leaving you vulnerable to market shifts and missed opportunities for job escape or income growth. The first thing to grasp is that financial literacy isn't a one-time course. It's an ongoing, vital skill that directly impacts your earning power and ability to build a runway. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase their salary through negotiation or effectively pursue skill stacking are hampered by an incomplete understanding of market dynamics or investment principles. Consider a time when a critical financial decision felt daunting or confusing, perhaps leading to budget stress because you lacked the foundational knowledge to proceed confidently. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering commitment to understanding the financial landscape that directly affects their career strategy and wealth. They recognize that every piece of information learned provides more leverage. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that even 5 minutes of focused learning can prevent significant negotiation mistakes or improve client acquisition friction by allowing you to speak with greater authority. One shift that accelerates progress is making it a micro habit to consume a small piece of financial information daily. Read one financial news headline today. Take a moment to consider how even a tiny piece of daily financial learning could illuminate a path you hadn't seen before. This consistent cultivation of financial knowledge transforms uncertainty into confident, strategic action. Learn daily. Grow exponentially. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. To truly cultivate lasting wealth and secure your journey to financial freedom, you must build habits that support the creation of multiple income sources beyond a single job. Over-reliance on one income stream creates profound financial fragility, leaving you exposed to unpredictable market shifts, unfavorable boss dynamics, or sudden career changes. The first thing to grasp is that a single point of income is a single point of failure. It limits your leverage and delays your job escape plan. Consider a time when your entire financial well-being hinged on one employer, leaving you vulnerable to their whims or economic downturns. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking are often best monetized not just within their primary role, but by launching a side venture that utilizes those new market skills. This not only adds income, but also provides invaluable real-world experience. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to creating diversified income streams, recognizing that this diversification is the ultimate form of financial security and leverage for career strategy. Think of the moment when the added income from a side hustle alleviated budget stress, giving you the confidence to navigate a difficult negotiation or a risky transition. Another factor that changes everything is the freedom and peace of mind that comes from knowing you have options. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously exploring how your existing skills or those you're building could generate supplementary income. This is about creating a robust financial runway, not just a savings account. Brainstorm 2 potential side hustle ideas that align with your current skills or passions. Take a moment to consider how even a small, consistent extra income stream could transform your sense of financial control. Building multiple income sources is a proactive step towards undeniable independence. Diversify your streams, fortify your freedom. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly wire yourself for lasting wealth and ensure your financial freedom is deeply fulfilling, you must integrate charitable giving into your financial habits for a greater sense of purpose. Neglecting giving can lead to a relentless, unfulfilling focus solely on accumulation, even after achieving your job escape. The first thing to grasp is that true wealth extends beyond personal net worth. It encompasses the impact you create. Consider a professional who achieves their financial runway, but still feels a void because their entire journey was self-focused, leading to a different kind of burnout despite monetary success. Many professionals discover that their drive for increasing earning power through skill stacking or navigating difficult negotiation mistakes gains profound energy when fueled by a purpose larger than themselves. What separates consistent earners from the rest is not just their ability to generate income, but their conscious decision to share a portion of it, which paradoxically enhances their own sense of abundance and reduces budget stress. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt less personal because your underlying mission was to fund initiatives you deeply believed in, shifting your perspective on purely transactional interactions. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that giving isn't a drain on resources. It's an investment in your values and mental well-being, reinforcing a positive relationship with money. One shift that accelerates progress is making giving a planned, non-negotiable component of your financial flow, much like saving or investing. This intentionality transforms it from an afterthought to a core habit. Research a charity aligned with your values for 5 minutes today. Take a moment to consider the profound sense of meaning and connection that consistent giving could bring to your wealth journey. Integrating purpose into your financial habits elevates your journey from mere accumulation to meaningful abundance. Give with intention. Live with purpose. Chapter 7. The Scarcity Mindset. Detox. Rewire your brain for abundance. I once coached an incredibly talented graphic designer, Alex, who constantly undervalued his work. Despite consistently delivering exceptional projects, he'd hesitate to negotiate fair rates, fearing he'd lose clients to cheaper competitors. He believed there wasn't enough work to go around, and if he asked for more, he'd starve. This deep-seated scarcity mindset meant he routinely accepted low-paying projects, preventing him from building a financial runway or investing in advanced skill stacking. His fear of not enough kept him trapped below a self-imposed salary ceiling, enduring budget stress and endless client acquisition friction, unable to ever transition to the high-value work he truly desired. The first thing to grasp is that a scarcity mindset actively restricts your opportunities and perpetuates a feeling of lack, regardless of your actual circumstances. The belief that resources, be it time, money, or clients, are limited profoundly hinders creative problem-solving and sabotages your path to financial freedom. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power are blocked not by external market conditions, but by internal beliefs about what's possible. Consider a time when fear of not enough led you to accept unfavorable boss dynamics or avoid a crucial negotiation. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their capacity to see opportunities where others see only obstacles, a direct result of an abundance mentality. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that this mindset often manifests as budget stress or an unwillingness to invest in new market skills, even when such investments would yield significant returns. One shift that accelerates progress is simply observing and identifying thoughts where you feel not enough. Note one thought where you felt not enough today. Take a moment to notice how that thought impacted your motivation or decision-making. By recognizing this pervasive thought pattern, you begin the crucial work of rewiring your brain for abundance. Challenge scarcity, create opportunity. This insight naturally leads us forward. To truly detox from a scarcity mindset and rewire your brain for abundance, you must actively practice habits that foster a mindset of possibility and gratitude. Continually focusing on lack only reinforces negative thought patterns, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy that actively prevents your financial freedom and career growth. The first thing to grasp is that your mental landscape directly dictates your perception of opportunity and your ability to act on it. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking are hampered not by a lack of capability, but by a pervasive internal dialogue focusing on what they lack. Consider a time when feelings of not enough prevented you from pursuing a new market skill or even asking for a deserved raise from your boss, leading to unnecessary salary ceilings and budget stress. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering belief in their capacity to create value, irrespective of immediate circumstances. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that gratitude is not naive optimism. It's a powerful psychological tool that shifts your brain's focus from deficits to assets. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and how a small shift in perspective could have opened new avenues. One shift that accelerates progress is making it a daily micro-habit to list 3 things you are genuinely grateful for right now. This simple practice builds new neural pathways. List 3 things you are grateful for right now. Take a moment to notice how this brief reflection immediately shifts your internal state and opens you to new ideas. By intentionally focusing on what you possess, you cultivate the mental fortitude required to manifest more. Cultivate gratitude, attract abundance. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly detox from a scarcity mindset and unlock abundance, you must internalize the fundamental truth that wealth and opportunity are not finite. New value is constantly created through innovation, problem solving, and human ingenuity. The pervasive belief in a fixed pie fosters destructive competition, paralyzing fear, and severely limits your path to financial freedom. The first thing to grasp is that this fixed pie mentality prevents you from seeing new avenues for income growth and skill stacking. Many professionals discover that their efforts to escape their current job are hindered by the belief that there simply aren't enough opportunities in their desired field. Consider a time when you feared a colleague's success meant less for you rather than seeing it as proof of abundance within your industry. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that market skills are not static. They evolve, creating entirely new demands and lucrative niches. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that client acquisition friction often arises from a perceived scarcity of clients, rather than a lack of compelling value. This mindset can lead to negotiation mistakes, where you underprice your worth out of fear. One shift that accelerates progress is actively seeking evidence of new value creation. By observing emerging trends, you begin to rewire your brain to recognize the expansive nature of opportunity. Research an innovative new industry for 5 minutes today. Take a moment to notice how this exposure to new possibilities challenges any fixed pie beliefs you might hold. This conscious shift from competition to creation opens up entirely new career strategies and avenues for income growth. See new value, create new wealth, moving from theory into practice. To truly attract abundance and sustain your journey towards financial freedom, you must integrate small, consistent acts of generosity into your daily routine. Hoarding resources, whether time, knowledge, or connections, only reinforces a scarcity mentality, effectively blocking the very flow of opportunity you seek. The first thing to grasp is that generosity is not about grand, public gestures, but rather the cumulative effect of small, thoughtful contributions. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking are amplified when they share their insights freely, often leading to unexpected collaborations or referrals that circumvent typical client acquisition friction. Consider a time when a colleague, without expectation, offered you 5 minutes of their expertise, solving a problem you'd struggled with. This builds immense goodwill and future leverage. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that generosity builds invaluable social capital, which can be far more potent than direct financial transactions. Think of the moment when helping a junior team member navigate challenging boss dynamics not only benefited them, but also enhanced your own leadership profile. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that true abundance comes from an internal sense of having enough to share, which paradoxically attracts more. This mindset shift is vital for building your financial runway and avoiding the negotiation mistakes that arise from perceived weakness. One shift that accelerates progress is making generosity a daily, non-negotiable micro-habit. Offer help to someone for 5 minutes today, whether it's sharing an insight, listening, or simply opening a door. Take a moment to notice the positive ripple effect, both for yourself and for the recipient. This intentional practice dismantles scarcity, fostering a continuous cycle of giving and receiving. Give freely, receive abundantly. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. To truly detox from a scarcity mindset and rewire your brain for abundance, you must regularly visualize and affirm your desired financial future. Negative self-talk creates insidious self-fulfilling prophecies of lack, actively sabotaging your efforts to build a financial runway or achieve job escape. The first thing to grasp is that your brain doesn't distinguish between vividly imagined scenarios and actual experience. Both create real neural pathways that influence your behavior. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking are often undermined by an internal narrative that constantly questions their capabilities or market value. Consider a time when self-doubt or budget stress led you to accept less than you deserved in a negotiation, simply because you didn't believe a better outcome was possible. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering belief in their future success, even in the face of current challenges. This conviction fuels their actions. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that client acquisition friction often stems from an internal lack of confidence, which is palpable to potential clients. When you truly believe in your value and your future, it changes your entire approach. One shift that accelerates progress is integrating short, consistent visualization practices into your routine. Instead of dwelling on what could go wrong, spend a few minutes actively seeing your ideal scenario. Visualize your ideal financial day for 2 minutes today. See yourself confidently navigating market skills, making strategic investments, and enjoying the freedom your hard work has earned. Take a moment to notice how this exercise shifts your energy and focus, even subtly. This intentional practice reprograms your subconscious for success, aligning your actions with your aspirations. See your future. Create your reality. Chapter 8. Income Amplification. Beyond the single paycheck. I worked with an executive, Mark, who had spent nearly 2 decades climbing the corporate ladder at a single technology firm. He earned an excellent salary, owned a beautiful home, and felt secure. His entire financial world, however, rested on that one paycheck. Then, without warning, a major corporate restructuring eliminated his division. Overnight, Mark went from a high earner to unemployed, with mortgage payments, college tuition, and a lifestyle built around that single income. His financial runway evaporated. His carefully laid plans for early retirement or a risky transition into entrepreneurship became impossible. The shock was immense, not just financial, but psychological, exposing the extreme vulnerability of relying on one single source, no matter how substantial it seemed. The first thing to grasp is that relying solely on your 9-to-5 income is like building a house on a single precarious pillar. A sudden shift, a layoff, a challenging boss, even a market downturn impacting your industry can decimate your financial security in an instant. Many professionals discover that their inability to negotiate effectively or to pursue critical skill stacking for career strategy often stems from this financial fragility. They're held captive by a single paycheck, unable to risk a no or pursue better opportunities. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to diversification, understanding that true freedom comes from multiple streams, not just one. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that multiple income sources create leverage, reducing budget stress and allowing for strategic exit planning. This gives you the power to walk away from unfavorable situations or invest in new market skills without fear. One shift that accelerates progress is gaining absolute clarity on your current financial dependence. Calculate your monthly expenses versus your single 9-to-5 income. Take a moment to notice how this calculation reveals your level of vulnerability and your immediate need for a diversified income strategy. Building beyond a single paycheck isn't just about more money, it's about establishing genuine financial resilience and freedom of choice. Diversify your income, secure your future. With that foundation in place, let's explore building beyond the single paycheck. To truly amplify your income and secure your financial freedom, you must develop consistent micro-habits to build and grow supplementary income streams. The common trap is waiting for large, uninterrupted blocks of time to start a new venture, which inevitably delays or completely derails your income growth and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that momentum is built through small, repeatable actions, not monumental efforts. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls because they feel overwhelmed by the perceived scale of starting a side hustle or investing in new market skills. Consider a time when you put off a complex task, only to find that breaking it into smaller steps made it manageable. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to leverage small pockets of time, transforming fragmented moments into productive periods of income generation. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt less daunting because you'd already built a small online presence through consistent 15-minute daily efforts. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that small, consistent actions reduce the psychological barrier to starting, avoiding the budget stress and negotiation mistakes that often accompany a feeling of being overwhelmed. One shift that accelerates progress is dedicating even just 10 minutes a day to a specific income amplification micro-action. Spend 10 minutes researching side hustle ideas today. Take a moment to notice how this brief, focused effort removes the pressure of needing a huge time commitment, making progress feel achievable. This consistent, incremental effort is the secret to building substantial supplementary income and achieving your ultimate financial independence. Start small, grow consistently. This insight naturally leads us forward. To build true financial security and accelerate your path to job escape, you must cultivate multiple, independent income streams. The dangerous illusion that one stable job is enough has left countless individuals financially fragile, entirely at the mercy of a single employer. The first thing to grasp is that relying solely on your primary salary limits your leverage, making you vulnerable to unfavorable boss dynamics or unexpected corporate restructuring. Many professionals discover their career strategy and earning power are severely constrained because they lack the financial buffer and choice that diversified income provides. Consider a time when job market uncertainty or fear of a layoff caused immense budget stress, compelling you to accept less than ideal terms in a negotiation. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to building income resilience, understanding that this is the bedrock of genuine financial freedom. Think of the moment when investing in new market skills felt too risky due to a lack of a financial safety net. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that each additional income stream, no matter how small, reduces dependency and provides more options for exit planning. This proactive diversification enables you to confidently navigate client acquisition friction or make strategic career shifts. One shift that accelerates progress is to begin by recognizing the value you already possess. Identify one skill you have right now that could potentially earn money outside your main job. Take a moment to consider how even a small, independent income stream could fundamentally change your sense of security and choice. This deliberate effort to diversify your income is your most powerful tool for independence. Build multiple streams. Secure your freedom. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly amplify your income and accelerate your financial freedom, you must implement systems that generate income with minimal ongoing effort. Continuously trading time for money is a limiting model for wealth creation, perpetuating the very cycle of job dependence you aim to escape. The first thing to grasp is that true leverage comes from creating assets that work for you, not just from increasing your hourly wage. Many professionals discover that their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking only lead to more demands on their time, ultimately hindering their job escape or exit planning. Consider a time when a raise meant you simply took on more responsibility, leaving you with less time for personal projects or family, despite a fatter paycheck. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their focus on building passive or semi-passive income streams. These systems reduce budget stress and mitigate the impact of unforeseen events, giving you crucial leverage in negotiations or navigating challenging boss dynamics. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and how a steady, automated income stream could have provided the breathing room to be more selective. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that your market skills can be packaged and sold repeatedly without direct hourly input. One shift that accelerates progress is actively researching and exploring income models that delink your time from your earnings. Research affiliate marketing for 15 minutes today. Take a moment to consider how establishing even one small, automated income stream could fundamentally change your relationship with work and your timeline for freedom. This strategic shift from active income to leveraged income is the pathway to true financial independence. Build systems. Free your time. Now here's where the real shift begins. To truly amplify your income and secure your financial freedom, you must continuously build and refine valuable skills that can be monetized across various platforms. Stagnant skills limit your earning potential and dramatically reduce your market value, keeping you tethered to a single job or a low salary ceiling. The first thing to grasp is that your skills are your most powerful currency. They are the foundation of your income growth and your runway for job escape. Many professionals discover that their inability to negotiate for higher pay or to navigate a risky transition stems directly from a perceived lack of competitive market skills. Consider a time when a new technology emerged in your field, and those who adapted quickly gained a significant advantage, while others were left behind. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to skill stacking, recognizing that continuous learning is not a chore, but a strategic investment. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction became easier because you offered a unique combination of expertise. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that every new skill learned provides additional leverage, opening new avenues for income and reducing budget stress associated with financial dependency. One shift that accelerates progress is dedicating a consistent, small block of time each day to learning or refining a new, monetizable skill. Dedicate 15 minutes to learning a new skill today, whether it's a software program, a marketing technique, or a communication strategy. Take a moment to notice how this consistent investment in your capabilities can directly impact your confidence and future earning potential. This relentless pursuit of valuable skills is your personal income amplification engine. Learn constantly, earn consistently, moving from theory into practice. To truly amplify your income and secure your path to financial freedom, you must cultivate daily habits that foster creativity, keen problem solving, and precise opportunity recognition. A persistent lack of innovative thinking stifles income growth, trapping you in a cycle of limited possibilities and delayed job escape. The first thing to grasp is that your mind is an asset, and like any asset, it appreciates with deliberate cultivation. Many professionals discover their career strategy hits a ceiling, not due to external market conditions, but an internal inability to identify novel solutions or unmet needs. Consider a time when you found yourself merely executing tasks at your job, rather than actively seeking ways to improve processes or create new value. This stagnant approach limits your earning power and ability to build a robust financial runway. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their capacity to see problems as invitations for innovation, transforming client acquisition friction into unique service offerings. Think of the moment when solving a small, recurring issue for someone sparked an idea for a monetizable service. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that innovative thinking is the ultimate skill stacking, making your existing market skills exponentially more valuable and giving you crucial leverage in any negotiation. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously training your mind to look for needs that aren't being met. Brainstorm 3 unmet needs in your community today. Take a moment to consider how this simple practice could reveal new avenues for your talents and potentially ignite your next income stream. This intentional cultivation of innovative thought is your direct route to sustained income amplification. Think creatively, earn strategically. With that foundation in place, let's turn our attention to an often underestimated cornerstone of income amplification: your professional network. To truly secure your financial freedom, you must develop consistent habits for expanding and nurturing this network. Isolation, whether by choice or neglect, severely limits opportunities for collaboration, income generation, and ultimately, your ability to achieve job escape. The first thing to grasp is that your network is a direct multiplier of your earning power and a vital component of any robust career strategy. Many professionals discover that despite their impressive skill stacking, they remain unseen for high-value projects or promotions simply because their capabilities aren't known beyond their immediate circle. Consider a time when a critical insight or a lucrative lead came not from exhaustive research, but from a casual conversation or an unexpected introduction. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that human connection builds profound leverage, reducing client acquisition friction and opening doors that no amount of solo effort could. Think of the moment when navigating challenging boss dynamics or negotiating a higher salary became easier because you had mentors or peers offering strategic advice. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that a strong network acts as an informal runway, providing potential opportunities for new income streams or alternative roles when you're contemplating exit planning. One shift that accelerates progress is to make networking a consistent micro habit, not a daunting event. Connect with one new person on LinkedIn today, someone relevant to your field or aspirations. Take a moment to notice how this small, consistent effort compounds over time, building a rich web of support and opportunity. Expanding your network is an ongoing investment in your future income and freedom. Connect deliberately, grow exponentially. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. To truly amplify your income and secure your financial freedom, you must consistently build and communicate your personal or professional brand. A weak or non-existent brand makes attracting opportunities incredibly difficult, delaying your job escape and capping your income growth. The first thing to grasp is that your brand is your reputation and perceived value in the marketplace. It's what compels clients to choose you and employers to recognize your worth. Many professionals discover that despite impressive skill stacking and significant effort, their earning power stagnates because their unique capabilities aren't clearly articulated or visible. Consider a time when you struggled with client acquisition friction, where potential clients couldn't differentiate you from competitors because your value proposition was unclear. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their intentionality in shaping how they are seen, making them the obvious choice for high-value work and strategic partnerships. Think of the moment when navigating challenging boss dynamics or negotiating a raise felt difficult because your contributions weren't formally recognized or effectively showcased. Another factor that changes everything is how a clear, compelling brand acts as an accelerator for your financial runway, drawing in projects and collaborations without constant outbound effort, giving you immense leverage. One shift that accelerates progress is making brand refinement a consistent micro habit. Update your professional bio or social media profile today, focusing on your most valuable market skills and aspirations. Take a moment to consider how clearly your current online presence communicates your unique value and future goals. This consistent effort ensures your opportunities align with your true potential. Define your brand. Define your wealth. This insight naturally leads us forward. To truly amplify your income and secure your financial freedom, you must implement habits for systematically growing your income streams over time. Remaining stuck at a small, time-for-money scale severely limits your financial freedom, perpetuating a different kind of dependency. The first thing to grasp is that your initial side hustle, while valuable, should be seen as a prototype for scalability, not a permanent second job. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls because they invest heavily in skill stacking, but fail to leverage those skills into a growing rather than merely active income. Consider a time when client acquisition friction felt relentless because you were manually handling every step, unable to grow beyond your personal capacity. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their constant search for ways to streamline, delegate, or automate elements of their income generation. This proactive approach reduces budget stress and provides critical leverage for exit planning, allowing you to envision a true job escape. Think of the moment when a negotiation mistake taught you the value of having diverse, scalable income streams backing your worth. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that growth doesn't always mean more hours. It often means smarter systems. One shift that accelerates progress is to continually ask, how can I expand this? Or, how can I make this less reliant on my direct hour-for-hour input? Identify one specific way to automate part of your current side hustle or a potential new income stream. Take a moment to notice how this exercise immediately shifts your perspective from busy work to building leverage. This intentional pursuit of systematic growth is the key to true income amplification and lasting freedom. Build to scale, not just to earn. Chapter 9, The Time Multiplier Effect. Maximize your most valuable asset. I once coached a driven project manager, Michael, who was constantly overwhelmed. His day was dictated by an overflowing inbox and an endless stream of urgent demands, leaving him perpetually in reactive mode. He worked long hours, yet felt perpetually behind, caught in a cycle of busyness that masqueraded as productivity. This constant firefighting meant he could never dedicate consistent time to building his burgeoning side business, investing in crucial market skills, or strategically planning his job escape. His financial runway felt perpetually out of reach, not from a lack of effort, but from a complete absence of a system, leading to chronic stress and stalled income growth. The first thing to grasp is that poor time management habits are a direct cause of perpetual busyness and overwhelming stress. Reacting to every demand without a clear system or strategy leaves you feeling perpetually overwhelmed, unable to make meaningful progress toward your financial freedom or career strategy. Many professionals discover that their earning power and ability to build leverage are severely hampered by this reactive approach. Consider a time when you missed an opportunity for skill stacking or a key networking event because you were simply too busy handling immediate, but not necessarily important, tasks. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate implementation of systems that prioritize high-impact activities. Think of the moment when constant budget stress was exacerbated by an inability to focus on income-generating activities due to daily distractions. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that effective time management isn't about doing more. It's about doing what truly matters for your long-term exit planning and income growth. One shift that accelerates progress is identifying your primary sources of time-related stress. List 3 specific tasks or situations that currently cause you significant time-related stress. Take a moment to notice how simply identifying these pressure points begins to illuminate a path toward regaining control. Understanding where your time is leaking is the first step toward plugging those gaps. Manage your time, multiply your freedom. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly maximize your most valuable asset, time, you must dedicate a focused, uninterrupted hour to your most important tasks, free from distraction. Allowing constant interruptions to dictate your day dramatically reduces your overall impact, leaving your most critical goals for financial freedom and career strategy perpetually unaddressed. The first thing to grasp is that true productivity isn't about how many hours you work, but about the quality of those hours and the strategic focus you apply. Many professionals discover their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking or building a financial runway are fragmented and ineffective due to constant context switching. Consider a time when you were attempting to tackle a complex project, only to be pulled away by an email or a quick chat, completely derailing your momentum. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering commitment to protecting their deep work periods. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming because you lacked dedicated time to develop a strategic outreach plan. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that even short bursts of highly focused effort yield disproportionate results compared to an entire day of distracted work, directly impacting your income growth and exit planning. One shift that accelerates progress is proactively scheduling a focus block for your most vital work. Schedule a 60-minute focus block for your most important task tomorrow and ruthlessly guard it from interruptions. Take a moment to imagine the clarity and progress you could achieve in that dedicated time. This intentional habit creates concentrated bursts of progress, accelerating your journey towards financial independence. Focus intensely, produce powerfully. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly maximize your most valuable asset, time, you must internalize that you have enough time for what you prioritize and systematize. Continually blaming a lack of time for stalled progress merely deflects responsibility for poor choices and unexamined habits, hindering your journey towards financial freedom. The first thing to grasp is that the phrase, "I don't have time," is almost always a veiled way of saying it's not a priority right now. Many professionals discover their career strategy, skill stacking efforts, or runway building remain perpetually on hold, not because hours mysteriously vanish, but because time is unconsciously allocated to low leverage activities. Consider a time when you genuinely believed you had no extra minutes, yet hours were spent on social media or passive entertainment. This leads to budget stress and costly negotiation mistakes, as you're constantly playing catch up. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering discipline in allocating time to high-impact activities, even when immediate, less important demands clamor for attention. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt insurmountable because you hadn't prioritized consistent outreach. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that every minute spent on a low-value task is a minute not invested in building your future financial freedom or executing your job escape plan. One shift that accelerates progress is to proactively identify and prune time-consuming, non-essential activities. Identify one activity you currently spend time on that you could realistically reduce by just 15 minutes today, and commit to redirecting that time towards a growth-oriented task. Take a moment to truly consider where your valuable minutes are currently flowing and if they align with your deepest aspirations. Reclaiming your time is not about finding more hours in the day, but about consciously choosing how you invest the hours you already have. Prioritize your time, empower your future. Now here's where the real shift begins. To truly maximize your most valuable asset, time, and accelerate your financial freedom, you must perform similar tasks together, minimizing context switching. Constantly jumping between different types of tasks wastes immense mental energy, significantly reducing your overall impact and delaying your job escape. The first thing to grasp is that every switch in mental gears carries a hidden cost, fragmenting your focus and making deep work nearly impossible. Many professionals discover their efforts to increase earning power through skill stacking or building a financial runway are hampered precisely because their days are a chaotic blend of unrelated activities. Consider a time when you tried to write a strategic report, answer emails, and take calls all at once, only to find yourself making slow progress on everything. This scattered approach perpetuates budget stress and leads to negotiation mistakes, as you're perpetually feeling behind. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate practice of batching similar activities. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and you couldn't dedicate focused time to outreach due to a jumbled schedule. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that this focused efficiency creates crucial leverage, freeing up concentrated blocks of time for your highest value work or strategic exit planning. One shift that accelerates progress is to proactively group your communications. Group all your email replies together and tackle them in a dedicated block. Take a moment to notice the mental clarity and increased speed you gain by operating in this focused, systematic way. This intentional structuring of your day is your powerful lever for amplified productivity and accelerated freedom. Batch your tasks, multiply your output, moving from theory into practice. To truly maximize your most valuable asset, time, you must deliberately automate or delegate repetitive, low-value tasks. Continually spending your precious time on trivial activities actively prevents you from focusing on high-impact work, severely delaying your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that your time is a finite resource, and every minute spent on something a machine or another person could do is a minute lost on building your future. Many professionals discover their career strategy and earning power are stifled because they mistakenly believe doing everything themselves is more efficient or cost-effective. Consider a time when manually performing a recurring task, like scheduling appointments or managing data entry, consumed valuable hours that could have been spent on skill stacking or client acquisition. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ruthless commitment to offloading anything that doesn't require their unique expertise. This proactive approach not only frees up time, but also reduces budget stress and provides crucial leverage for successful negotiations. As your focus shifts to higher value activities, think of the moment when navigating challenging boss dynamics felt easier because you had the capacity to strategically address issues, not just react to them. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that delegating or automating creates a compounding effect, accelerating your financial runway and exit planning. One shift that accelerates progress is identifying just one task you could potentially automate or delegate this week. Identify one task you could potentially automate or delegate. Take a moment to consider the ripple effect of freeing up that time for higher impact work and how that directly contributes to your financial goals. This strategic reallocation of your time is a powerful multiplier for your progress. Automate wisely, focus powerfully. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. To truly maximize your most valuable asset, time, you must align your most demanding tasks with your peak energy levels throughout the day. Working against your natural energy cycles isn't a sign of discipline. It's a blueprint for inefficiency and burnout, actively hindering your journey toward financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that many professionals discover their career strategy, despite careful skill stacking, never gains full traction because they're attempting high cognitive tasks like complex analysis or creative problem solving when their brain is naturally winding down. Consider a time when you tried to push through a demanding project late in the day, feeling drained and making numerous errors, leading to negotiation mistakes and prolonged budget stress. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their acute awareness of their own chronobiology and their strategic scheduling of work. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt insurmountable, partly because you were trying to make crucial calls or strategize during your lowest energy period, resulting in suboptimal interactions. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that intelligent energy management creates immense leverage, accelerating your financial runway and making exit planning more realistic. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously aligning your most demanding, high-leverage tasks with your peak mental hours. Note when you feel most energetic today, paying attention to your natural rhythms for focus and creativity. Take a moment to notice how this subtle self-awareness can profoundly impact your daily effectiveness. Optimizing your energy isn't a luxury. It's a strategic necessity for sustainable high performance and financial independence. Know your rhythm, master your time. Now here's where the real shift begins. To truly maximize your most valuable asset, time, and secure your financial freedom, you must develop the habit of politely but firmly declining requests that do not align with your core priorities. Constantly saying yes to everything dilutes your focus and fragments your time, effectively sidelining your own income growth and job escape plan. The first thing to grasp is that every yes to someone else's agenda is often a no to your own most important goals. Many professionals discover their career strategy, despite significant skill stacking, never gains traction because they're constantly pulled into low-leverage activities or the demands of others, leading to burnout and budget stress. Consider a time when agreeing to an extra project at work or a social engagement completely derailed your plans for focused work on your side hustle or personal development. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering ability to protect their time and energy for high-impact tasks. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and you couldn't dedicate time to strategic outreach because your schedule was packed with commitments that offered little return. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that saying no provides crucial leverage, allowing you to prioritize activities that directly contribute to your financial runway and long-term exit planning. One shift that accelerates progress is to practice gracefully declining requests, even if only hypothetically at first. Practice saying no to a hypothetical request that doesn't serve your current goals. Take a moment to notice how asserting this boundary feels and the mental freedom it creates. This deliberate act of prioritizing your own agenda is fundamental to reclaiming your time and building the life you desire. Protect your time, protect your future. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly maximize your most valuable asset, time, and accelerate your financial freedom, you must regularly review your time allocation and actively adjust your habit stacks for continuous improvement. Sticking rigidly to an outdated schedule or one that was never intentionally designed drastically reduces your adaptability and efficiency, actively stifling your income growth and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that your ideal schedule is not static. It's a dynamic tool that requires consistent recalibration to remain effective for your evolving career strategy. Many professionals discover their efforts in skill stacking or building a financial runway plateau because they fail to adapt their time management to new opportunities or challenges. Consider a time when a new project or an unexpected personal commitment completely threw off your routine, causing budget stress and delaying crucial tasks because your schedule lacked flexibility. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to schedule optimization, viewing it as an ongoing process, not a one-time setup. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt insurmountable, partly because your schedule was too rigid to accommodate new outreach methods or follow-ups. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that regular review provides crucial leverage, enabling you to identify time wasters and reallocate hours to high-impact activities, accelerating your exit planning. One shift that accelerates progress is making a concise weekly schedule review a non-negotiable habit. Block 15 minutes weekly for a simple schedule review, asking yourself what worked, what didn't, and what needs adjustment for the coming week. Take a moment to consider how this consistent reflection could transform your productivity and impact. This deliberate habit ensures your most valuable asset is always working for you. Review, refine, and rise. This insight naturally leads us forward. To truly maximize your most valuable asset, time, and accelerate your financial freedom, you must implement deliberate habits to reduce digital distractions and reclaim your focus. Constant digital interruptions fragment your attention and drastically decrease productivity, actively delaying your job escape and capping your income growth. The first thing to grasp is that your attention is a finite, precious resource, and allowing it to be constantly hijacked by pings and notifications is a direct assault on your ability to perform high-impact work. Many professionals discover their career strategy, despite extensive skill stacking, never gains momentum because deep work is consistently undermined by shallow distractions, leading to pervasive budget stress. Consider a time when you were deeply immersed in a critical task, only to be pulled away by a non-urgent notification, completely breaking your concentration and requiring significant time to regain focus. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ruthless commitment to creating environments conducive to sustained concentration. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and you couldn't dedicate focused time to crafting compelling proposals due to incessant digital noise. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that reclaiming just an hour of focused time each day provides immense leverage, significantly accelerating your financial runway and making exit planning a tangible reality. One shift that accelerates progress is proactively silencing the digital cacophony. Turn off social media notifications for 1 hour today, or even for specific blocks of deep work. Take a moment to notice the quiet clarity that emerges when you deliberately remove these constant demands on your attention. This conscious practice of minimizing digital interruptions is a profound investment in your future earning power and peace of mind. Reclaim your focus, unlock your potential. Chapter 10, The Procrastination Eradicator, Trigger Your Way to Action. I recall a client, David, an incredibly bright engineer with a unique idea for a software product that could significantly amplify his income and allow him to escape his demanding corporate role. He had the technical skill stacking, the market insight, and even a solid initial blueprint. Yet month after month, the core development work remained unfinished. He'd tell himself he'd start tomorrow or next week, citing a lack of motivation or not enough time. This cycle wasn't just delaying his financial runway, it was actively contributing to his budget stress and making his dream of job escape feel increasingly unattainable. He wasn't lazy, he was stuck, paralyzed by an unseen barrier, constantly postponing the very actions that would grant him freedom. The first thing to grasp is that procrastination is rarely about laziness or a fundamental lack of motivation. Instead, it's a sophisticated psychological response, often driven by fear, perfectionism, or the overwhelming perceived complexity of a task. Blaming a lack of motivation ignores these deeper underlying triggers for delay, preventing true progress in your career strategy and income growth. Many professionals discover that crucial tasks, like researching new market skills or tackling client acquisition friction, get perpetually pushed aside, not because they don't value them, but because the initial step feels too daunting or fraught with potential negotiation mistakes. Consider a time when delaying a vital project at work led to unnecessary stress and impacted your relationship with boss dynamics. What separates consistent earners and successful entrepreneurs from the rest is not their immunity to procrastination, but their understanding of its triggers and their proactive strategies to overcome them. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that identifying why you're delaying a task is more effective than simply forcing yourself to just do it. One shift that accelerates progress is acknowledging the specific tasks you're currently avoiding, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Acknowledge one specific task you're currently avoiding. Take a moment to notice any feelings of resistance or discomfort that arise when you consider that task. Understanding these internal barriers is your first step toward dismantling them and taking decisive action. Uncover the trigger. Ignite the action. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly eradicate procrastination and trigger consistent action, you must commit to starting any new habit or task if it takes less than 2 minutes. Overthinking the initial step is often the most significant barrier, preventing any genuine progress from beginning and actively delaying your financial freedom. The first thing to grasp is that the psychological friction of starting a task is often far greater than the effort required to actually do a small portion of it. Many aspiring entrepreneurs hesitate on crucial steps for their job escape, like market research or setting up a basic online presence, seeing the entire project as overwhelming when the initial action is often trivial. Consider a time when you put off updating your resume or applying for a better position, feeling the whole process was too much and consequently missed opportunities for income growth or better boss dynamics. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to initiate momentum, understanding that a small start often leads to unexpected continuation. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt insurmountable because you hadn't even drafted an initial outreach email. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that the brain resists complexity, but it rarely resists something that feels insignificant and achievable, providing crucial leverage. One shift that accelerates progress is to simplify the entry point to any daunting task. Apply the 2-minute rule to a tiny task right now. It could be opening the relevant document, writing one sentence, or simply organizing your workspace for what comes next. Take a moment to notice the psychological shift that occurs when you simply begin, even on something small. This strategic commitment to tiny starts is your most powerful tool against delay. Start small, achieve big. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. To truly eradicate procrastination and activate consistent action, you must internalize that procrastination is a learned behavior, not an inherent weakness or moral flaw. Believing it's a permanent personal defect prevents strategic intervention and meaningful change, keeping you stuck and delaying your path to financial freedom. The first thing to grasp is that your brain is simply trying to protect you from perceived discomfort or failure, leading to avoidance. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls, their skill stacking stagnates, or their financial runway remains short because they label themselves as lazy instead of understanding the psychological mechanisms at play. Consider a time when you put off a crucial task, not because you couldn't do it, but because the outcome felt uncertain or the effort overwhelming, leading to increased budget stress or missed income growth opportunities. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to depersonalize procrastination and approach it as a solvable problem. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction seemed daunting and you delayed outreach because of a fear of rejection rather than a lack of time. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that identifying the specific trigger for a delay allows you to create a targeted counter strategy, giving you crucial leverage in your job escape planning. One shift that accelerates progress is observing your procrastination patterns without judgment. Identify the specific trigger for a past instance of procrastination, asking yourself, what emotion or thought preceded the delay? Take a moment to notice that this self-awareness immediately puts you in a position of power, ready to intervene strategically. This understanding transforms perceived weakness into actionable insight. Recognize the pattern, rewrite your response. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly eradicate procrastination and activate consistent action, you must proactively make decisions in advance, thereby eliminating choice fatigue and ensuring follow-through. Leaving crucial decisions to the moment creates opportunities for procrastination, actively delaying your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that your willpower is a finite resource. Every decision, no matter how small, depletes it slightly. Many professionals discover their career strategy, skill stacking efforts, or runway building stalls because they waste valuable mental energy deciding what to do next, instead of doing it. Consider a time when you sat down to work, but spent 10 minutes just deciding where to begin, ultimately losing momentum or getting distracted. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their strategic pre-planning, which reduces mental friction and makes action almost automatic. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction seemed daunting, partly because you hadn't pre-decided your outreach targets or message, leading to inaction. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that this advanced decision-making provides crucial leverage, allowing you to bypass the internal resistance that often precedes high-value tasks, thereby accelerating your income growth. One shift that accelerates progress is to simply decide the night before what your most important task will be for the next day. Decide what you'll work on first tomorrow, even if it's just for 20 minutes. Take a moment to notice how this small act of pre-commitment instantly reduces the mental burden and sets a clear intention. This eliminates the "what should I do" question that so often invites delay. Decide ahead, act without hesitation, moving from theory into practice. To truly eradicate procrastination and activate consistent action, you must strategically pair a desirable activity with an undesirable one, effectively increasing your motivation. Continually forcing yourself through unenjoyable but necessary tasks only creates deeper resistance, actively delaying your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that your brain is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. By linking a dreaded task to a guaranteed reward, you hack this natural inclination. Many professionals discover their career strategy, skill stacking, or runway building efforts stall because they approach critical but tedious work with pure willpower, which is unsustainable, leading to pervasive budget stress. Consider a time when the sheer dread of an administrative chore or a complex report kept you from starting, costing you valuable time and causing unnecessary worry. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ingenuity in making necessary tasks more palatable through such strategic combinations. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and you delayed outreach calls, partly because you hadn't created a positive association with the activity. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that this simple habit pairing provides crucial leverage, allowing you to bypass internal resistance and make progress on tasks that directly contribute to your income growth and exit planning. One shift that accelerates progress is to immediately identify a small, enjoyable reward you can link to an avoided task. Link a chore you've been putting off with listening to your favorite podcast or an audiobook you're eager to hear. Take a moment to notice how this subtle shift in framing can immediately reduce the psychological barrier to action. This strategic pairing transforms resistance into progress. Pair for pleasure, produce for profit. Chapter 11. Future-proof your freedom. Sustain your growth indefinitely. I once worked with a client, Eleanor, who meticulously built her skill stacking for a promising side venture, dedicating early mornings to market research and client acquisition strategies. She saw her income growth accelerate, and her financial runway for a job escape looked increasingly viable. Yet, after achieving her first significant income milestone, she unconsciously eased up. The daily early starts became less frequent. The dedicated research time was slowly replaced by emails. She believed the habit was set, no longer requiring conscious effort. But the momentum stalled, client acquisition friction resurfaced, and her career strategy for independence began to feel distant once more. She learned the hard way that a habit, once built, still demands ongoing attention. The first thing to grasp is that believing a habit is permanent once formed invites a dangerous complacency, and this is a common pitfall leading to habit decay over time. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls or their financial runway shrinks, not from a lack of initial effort, but from failing to actively defend against this erosion. Consider a time when you diligently practiced a new market skill, saw tangible progress in your earning power, but then allowed consistency to slip, impacting your long-term leverage. Think of the moment when your budget stress unexpectedly returned because your meticulous tracking habits simply faded away over time. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that maintaining progress requires as much, if not more, vigilance than initiating it. Reflect on a good habit you once had, but lost. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that the world around you is constantly pulling at your established routines, requiring active defense and flexible adaptation. One shift that accelerates progress is to proactively identify and reinforce the triggers and rewards that keep your most important habits alive. Take a moment to notice the subtle signs of decay that appear in your own routines, even now. Sustained growth isn't about setting it and forgetting it, it's about vigilant cultivation. Nurture your habits, secure your freedom. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly future-proof your freedom and sustain your growth indefinitely, you must implement intentional systems to continuously reinforce and adapt your positive habits. Without this active maintenance, even the strongest habits can weaken and disappear, actively jeopardizing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that a habit, no matter how ingrained, exists within a dynamic environment of changing circumstances, new distractions, and evolving goals. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls, their skill stacking becomes outdated, or their financial runway dwindles because they assume initial success guarantees perpetual momentum. Consider a time when a change in your work schedule or personal life subtly eroded a previously solid routine, leading to increased budget stress or missed opportunities for income growth. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their dedication to strategic habit maintenance, viewing their systems as living organisms that require care and adaptation. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt insurmountable, partly because your initial robust outreach system had slowly, unconsciously atrophied. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that the world is not static. Market skills evolve, boss dynamics shift, and your personal capacity fluctuates, requiring continuous adaptation of your habits to maintain leverage. One shift that accelerates progress is scheduling a regular, dedicated time for habit review and adjustment. Schedule a weekly habit review in your calendar, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Use this time to assess what's working, what's not, and what external factors might be impacting your consistency. Take a moment to consider how this consistent commitment to self-correction can safeguard your long-term success. This proactive approach ensures your habits remain powerful levers for your financial independence. Systematize maintenance, sustain momentum, moving from theory into practice. To truly future-proof your freedom and sustain your growth indefinitely, you must recognize that habits require ongoing attention and adaptation, not just initial formation. Expecting passive endurance leads inevitably to eventual regression, actively derailing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that a habit, once established, is not a set-it-and-forget-it mechanism. It's a dynamic system influenced by your environment, your goals, and even your mood. Many professionals discover their meticulously crafted career strategy or skill stacking efforts gradually lose their edge because they stop actively reinforcing the underlying habits, leading to stagnation in income growth. Consider a time when a positive financial habit, like daily budget tracking or regular investment reviews, simply faded from your routine, leading to increased budget stress or missed negotiation opportunities. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that sustained momentum demands deliberate. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly future-proof your freedom and sustain your growth indefinitely, you must consistently track your habits to maintain awareness and drive. Losing sight of your progress diminishes motivation and allows gradual slippage, actively jeopardizing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed can be improved. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls, their skill stacking becomes inconsistent, or their financial runway dwindles because they operate on vague intentions rather than concrete data, leading to increased budget stress. Consider a time when you were making good progress on a goal, but then stopped tracking it and subsequently found your discipline waning and your results plateauing. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering commitment to visible feedback loops. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and you couldn't identify exactly where your outreach efforts were falling short because you weren't tracking them. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that visual progress, a simple check mark or a filled-in square on a calendar, provides a powerful shot of dopamine, reinforcing the positive behavior and giving you crucial leverage in your negotiation skills. One shift that accelerates progress is to create a simple, visible habit tracker for just one critical habit this week. Create a simple habit tracker for one habit, whether it's daily skill practice or a commitment to networking. Take a moment to notice how this tangible representation of your efforts fuels a sense of accomplishment and encourages continued action. This visible record transforms abstract goals into undeniable progress. Track your habits, amplify your results. Another factor that changes everything is, to truly future-proof your freedom and sustain your growth indefinitely, you must develop a conscious strategy for quickly getting back on track after missing a habit. Viewing a single missed day as total failure is a common, destructive pattern that leads to complete abandonment, actively derailing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that setbacks are inevitable in any long-term endeavor. What truly matters is your response. Many aspiring entrepreneurs, when attempting to build a side hustle or learn a new market skill for their job escape, hit a snag and immediately abandon weeks of progress, mistakenly believing they've failed entirely. Consider a time when one missed day of tracking your budget felt like a complete collapse of your financial discipline, leading to weeks of neglect and increased budget stress. What separates consistent earners from the rest is not that they never miss a habit, but that they have a pre-planned, non-judgmental strategy for getting back on track immediately. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and you delayed outreach. Then one missed day led to a week of inaction, impacting your income growth. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that a perfect streak isn't necessary for long-term success. Resilience and rapid recovery are far more valuable for building your financial runway and leverage. One shift that accelerates progress is to proactively define your comeback plan for each key habit. Plan your comeback for a missed habit now. What minimal action will you take the very next day? Take a moment to internalize that one misstep doesn't erase all your prior effort. It's simply a data point for adaptation. This strategic approach to setbacks transforms them into minor detours rather than dead ends on your path to lasting independence. Stumble, learn, resume. With that foundation in place, to truly future-proof your freedom and sustain your growth indefinitely, you must reinforce your habits by aligning them with your desired identity. Acting inconsistently with your self-image creates profound internal conflict, actively sabotaging your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that behavior driven by identity is far more resilient than behavior driven by external rewards or willpower alone. Many professionals discover their career strategy, skill stacking, or runway building efforts stall because their actions don't resonate with who they fundamentally believe they are, leading to pervasive budget stress. Consider a time when you tried to adopt a new market skill, but deep down, you still saw yourself as not a tech person or not a salesperson, leading to self-sabotage and negotiation mistakes. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate cultivation of an identity that naturally leads to the desired actions. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and you delayed outreach because you hadn't fully embraced the identity of a confident networker or value provider. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that when your habits are an extension of who you believe yourself to be, they become effortless, providing immense leverage for your income growth. One shift that accelerates progress is to consciously define the identity of the person who already possesses the habits you desire. Write down, "I am a person who," followed by a desired trait or action, like "I am a person who consistently invests in my skills," or "I am a person who creates opportunities." Take a moment to notice how simply articulating this identity begins to shift your internal narrative and motivate aligned actions. This deep alignment between who you are and what you do ensures lasting change. Become the identity, live the freedom. This insight naturally leads us forward. To truly future-proof your freedom and sustain your growth indefinitely, you must build a robust support system that holds you accountable for your habit goals. Going it alone can make maintaining habits significantly more challenging, actively jeopardizing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that external accountability creates a powerful social contract, adding another layer of motivation beyond internal willpower. Many professionals discover their career strategy, skill stacking, or runway building efforts plateau because they lack an external push or sounding board, leading to increased budget stress when self-discipline falters. Consider a time when the mere knowledge that someone would ask about your progress spurred you to take action, even when you didn't feel like it. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding of the power of social commitment and strategic partnerships. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and you delayed outreach, but a quick check-in with a mastermind group or mentor would have reignited your focus. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that a well-chosen accountability partner provides not only motivation, but also crucial insights, shared market skills, and a buffer against negotiation mistakes, giving you immense leverage. One shift that accelerates progress is to simply vocalize your commitment to someone you trust. Tell a trusted friend or colleague about one specific habit you're building or a goal you're working towards. Ask them to check in with you regularly. Take a moment to notice the immediate increase in your commitment level just by sharing your intention. This shared commitment transforms your aspirations into shared responsibilities, making them harder to ignore. Lean on support, stand in strength. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly future-proof your freedom and sustain your growth indefinitely, you must periodically optimize your environment to support your current goals and habits. A stagnant environment can hinder your growth and new habits, actively jeopardizing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that your physical surroundings are a silent yet powerful determinant of your daily actions and overall productivity. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls or their skill stacking becomes a struggle when their workspace is cluttered or constantly interrupted, making deep learning nearly impossible. Consider a time when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and you delayed outreach, partly because your workspace wasn't set up for focused calls or follow-ups. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate, periodic investment in designing their surroundings to minimize friction and promote desired behaviors, directly supporting their financial runway. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that your environment isn't fixed. It's a dynamic lever. Small, intentional adjustments provide crucial leverage, making high-value tasks easier to start and sustain, accelerating your income growth and exit planning. One shift that accelerates progress is to regularly audit and adjust your immediate workspace. Reorganize one small area today, perhaps your desk drawer or the files for your side project. Take a moment to notice the psychological impact of this small act of bringing order and intention to your surroundings. This proactive approach ensures your physical space becomes an active ally in your pursuit of lasting independence. Shape your space, define your success. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. To truly future-proof your freedom and sustain your growth indefinitely, you must regularly revisit the foundational reasons behind your habit journey. Losing touch with your core purpose can lead to a gradual, insidious loss of motivation, actively derailing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that initial enthusiasm is finite. It's a deep, compelling why that sustains action through the inevitable plateaus and challenges. Many professionals discover their meticulously planned career strategy, despite significant skill stacking, eventually falters because the daily grind obscures the ultimate vision, leading to renewed budget stress. Consider a time when you were deeply committed to a new goal, perhaps related to income growth or building a financial runway, but then slowly lost momentum. It wasn't a lack of ability, but a disconnection from the profound reason you started. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate practice of reconnecting with their overarching purpose, especially when facing client acquisition friction or the complexities of exit planning. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that this deeper why acts as an emotional fuel, providing resilience against setbacks and clarifying your negotiation strategy. One shift that accelerates progress is to make a conscious habit of reflecting on your ultimate purpose. Reflect on the ultimate reason for your financial freedom journey. Allow yourself to reconnect with that initial spark, that deep-seated desire for change and autonomy. This powerful anchor ensures your habits remain vibrant, purposeful, and aligned with your highest aspirations. Reconnect with purpose. Reignite your drive. Chapter 12. The Habit Unstacking System. Break free from bad cycles. I remember a client, Mark, who consistently sabotaged his financial runway. He diligently put extra money aside from his demanding corporate job, envisioning his job escape. But every Friday evening, exhausted, he'd find himself mindlessly scrolling online marketplaces, justifying impulsive luxury purchases as rewards. He felt guilty, believing he lacked discipline, never connecting the fatigue with the desire for escape, craving, the scrolling, response, and the temporary thrill, reward. This cycle kept him perpetually stuck, eroding his savings and making his dream of financial freedom feel perpetually out of reach. The first thing to grasp is that without deconstructing the cues, cravings, responses, and rewards of your bad habits, breaking them becomes a brutal battle of pure willpower, a battle you're destined to lose in the long run. Many professionals discover their income growth stalls or their skill stacking becomes inconsistent because deeply ingrained unconscious patterns dictate their actions more than conscious intent. Consider a time when you found yourself defaulting to social media or email checking every few minutes, not out of necessity, but out of a subtle urge to escape a more challenging task. This seemingly minor habit fragments your focus, impacting client acquisition friction or critical strategic planning for your career. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their analytical approach to these destructive loops, recognizing them not as personal flaws, but as predictable patterns. Think of the moment when delaying a crucial project due to distraction directly impacted your boss dynamics or led to negotiation mistakes. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that identifying the components of your specific habit loop provides the intelligence needed for a strategic intervention rather than just brute force. One shift that accelerates progress is to simply acknowledge the pattern. Identify one bad habit you want to break, that single behavior holding you back from truly accelerating your financial freedom. Take a moment to notice where this principle already shows up in your own decisions, perhaps in how you reach for your phone or delay an uncomfortable conversation. This deeper understanding transforms vague aspirations into targeted strategies for lasting change. Decode the loop. Reclaim your power. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly unstack bad habits and break free from destructive cycles, you must actively remove environmental cues that trigger those undesirable behaviors. Relying solely on self-control when these triggers are constantly present is an exhausting uphill battle, one that actively erodes your path to financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that your willpower is a finite resource, easily depleted by constant exposure to temptations. Many professionals discover their income growth stalls, or their skill stacking efforts are continuously interrupted because their immediate surroundings are rife with distractions, a phone within arm's reach for social media, or a cluttered workspace that subtly encourages procrastination. Consider a time when the mere sight of an email notification pulled you away from a critical task, leading to reduced focus and impacting your career strategy. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to designing their environment for success, rather than constantly fighting against it. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming, and you found yourself retreating to comfort activities, partly because the setup for focused outreach was cumbersome, creating boss dynamics that hindered progress. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that making unwanted behaviors difficult to access is far more effective than trying to resist them through sheer force of will, giving you crucial leverage. One shift that accelerates progress is to identify one physical item in your environment that consistently triggers a bad habit and remove it, or make it less accessible. Remove one item that triggers a bad habit right now. Perhaps move your phone to another room while working, or put tempting snacks out of sight. Take a moment to notice the immediate reduction in friction and temptation. This strategic environmental design creates a default path toward your desired actions. Control your cues, control your choices. Now here's where the real shift begins. To truly unstack bad habits and break free from destructive cycles, you must understand that effective habit breaking relies far more on strategic environmental and routine changes than on sheer willpower. Believing it's purely a test of your inner strength leads inevitably to repeated failures, actively derailing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that willpower, like a muscle, fatigues. Constantly battling temptation through sheer grit is unsustainable and will eventually lead to burnout and regression. Many professionals attempting a job escape or aiming for income growth find themselves perpetually fighting against impulse spending, digital distractions, or procrastination, only to crash and burn and conclude they simply lack discipline. Consider a time when you desperately wanted to stop a habit that was eroding your financial runway or impacting your career strategy, but despite your best efforts, you defaulted to the old pattern. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that environmental design and intelligent routine restructuring are far more potent and reliable than relying solely on self-control. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and you delayed outreach, not from a lack of desire, but because your environment made procrastination too easy. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that you have immense leverage when you make unwanted behaviors difficult to access and desirable ones the path of least resistance. One shift that accelerates progress is to pinpoint a bad habit where you've repeatedly relied on willpower and it simply wasn't enough. Name that bad habit right now. Take a moment to consider where you've been relying on willpower when a strategic change could have made all the difference. This shift in perspective liberates you from self-blame and empowers you to build lasting change. Design your world, dictate your habits, moving from theory into practice. To truly unstack bad habits and break free from destructive cycles, you must strategically increase the effort required to perform undesirable actions. High friction points make bad habits less appealing, less convenient, and less frequent, thereby actively supporting your path to financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that humans are creatures of least resistance. When a negative behavior requires more effort than the immediate gratification it offers, we are far less likely to engage in it. Many professionals discover their income growth is hampered or their skill stacking stagnates because distractions and time wasters are simply too easy to access in their daily routine. Consider a time when you wanted to avoid a certain snack, but having it readily available in the pantry made resisting it incredibly difficult. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate creation of obstacles between themselves and their unwanted habits, providing crucial leverage. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and you defaulted to endless email checks, partly because your email tab was always open. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that these small barriers don't eliminate the desire, but they create a moment of pause, a split second where conscious choice can override automatic response, impacting your negotiation mistakes. One shift that accelerates progress is to add a small, intentional obstacle to one bad habit you want to curb. Add a small obstacle to a bad habit. For instance, if mindless TV watching is an issue, unplug the TV after each use, or remove the batteries from the remote. Take a moment to notice how this slight inconvenience can be enough to break the automatic chain of action. This strategic friction disarms impulsive behaviors. Raise the bar, lower the frequency. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly unstack bad habits and break free from destructive cycles, you must substitute an undesirable habit with a positive alternative that fulfills a similar underlying craving. Simply removing a habit without replacing its function creates a void that is incredibly hard to sustain, actively jeopardizing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that many bad habits aren't about the behavior itself, but the feeling or outcome it provides. Comfort, escape, stimulation, or relief from boredom. Many professionals discover their income growth stalls or their skill stacking becomes inconsistent because they eliminate a distracting habit without addressing the core need it was satisfying, leading to relapse. Consider a time when you tried to cut out a sugary snack, but the craving for a quick energy boost or a moment of pleasure led you to another unhealthy alternative. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their strategic understanding of these underlying cravings, allowing them to redirect that energy productively. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and you delayed outreach, perhaps craving a sense of control or immediate accomplishment, but instead defaulted to mindless activities. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that by carefully selecting a healthier substitute, you leverage your natural desires rather than fighting them, providing crucial leverage for your career strategy. One shift that accelerates progress is to identify a healthy alternative that delivers a similar benefit to one of your current undesirable habits. Identify a healthy alternative to a snack you crave, perhaps fruit instead of a cookie, or a short walk instead of social media scrolling when you feel overwhelmed. Take a moment to notice how this redirection satisfies the craving without the negative consequences. This strategic substitution transforms old patterns into new opportunities. Replace the void, reinforce the good. Now here's where the real shift begins. To truly unstack bad habits and break free from destructive cycles, you must implement immediate, undesirable consequences for performing a bad habit. Future consequences, like lost income or a delayed job escape, are often too abstract to deter immediate, impulsive action, actively jeopardizing your financial freedom. The first thing to grasp is that the human brain prioritizes immediate gratification and immediate pain avoidance. A distant negative outcome, like increased budget stress months from now, holds far less power than an unpleasant consequence right here, right now. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls or their skill stacking suffers because the instant gratification of a bad habit outweighs the abstract future benefits of a good one. Consider a time when you knew a behavior was bad for you, but the long-term cost felt too far away to stop you in the moment. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ingenuity in bridging this time gap with immediate, tangible deterrence. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction led you to procrastinate on calls, knowing the negative impact was future, not present. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that creating an immediate, even minor punishment for a bad habit provides crucial leverage, making the undesirable action less appealing in the very instant you consider it, influencing boss dynamics and negotiation mistakes. One shift that accelerates progress is to create an immediate, social consequence for your bad habit. Tell a trusted friend or colleague that you are trying to break a specific habit and ask them to call you out immediately if they witness you performing it. Take a moment to notice how the social discomfort of being caught can be a powerful immediate deterrent. This clever tactic transforms abstract future costs into concrete present deterrence, imposing consequences, commanding change. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. To truly unstack bad habits and break free from destructive cycles, you must actively challenge the deeply ingrained belief that a bad habit is part of who you are. Identifying with a negative behavior makes it exponentially harder to shed, actively sabotaging your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that your identity drives your behavior. If you tell yourself, "I'm just a procrastinator," or "I'm bad with money," your actions will invariably follow suit, leading to increased budget stress or a stalled career strategy. Many professionals discover their income growth or skill stacking efforts are undermined by these limiting self-narratives, impacting their boss dynamics. Consider a time when you tried to change a habit but found yourself saying things like, "That's just how I am," effectively giving yourself permission to revert to old patterns. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their conscious choice to redefine their self-image, aligning it with their aspirations rather than their past mistakes. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and you delayed outreach, not just because it was hard, but because you secretly believed you weren't good at sales. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that by shifting your self-perception, you gain immense leverage, making it easier to adopt new behaviors and avoid negotiation mistakes. One shift that accelerates progress is to consciously articulate who you are not in relation to a bad habit you want to break. Right, "I am not someone who," followed by that negative behavior. Take a moment to notice the power in disassociating from that unwanted identity, creating space for a new, empowering self-image. This powerful identity shift transforms your self-talk, paving the way for lasting change. Define your identity, design your destiny. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly unstack bad habits and break free from destructive cycles, you must consciously change your immediate reaction to common triggers for undesirable behaviors. Your initial automatic response to a cue can often be skillfully redirected, actively securing your path to financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is the critical moment between stimulus and response, a tiny window where conscious choice interrupts an automatic pattern. Many professionals find their income growth or job escape runway stagnant because reflexive reactions to stress or boredom pull them from productive tasks, leading to budget stress. Consider when a demanding email from your boss triggered an immediate urge to vent on social media instead of strategizing a professional response. This automatic reaction chips away at your career strategy and focus. What separates consistent earners is their ability to recognize this trigger response pattern and intentionally insert a pause or a different, more constructive action. Think of when client acquisition friction felt overwhelming and your impulse was to scroll aimlessly online, delaying crucial outreach. Another factor that changes everything is realizing these small conscious interventions compound, creating profound shifts in your behavioral landscape. One shift that accelerates progress is to commit to a brief pause. When a trigger appears for a bad habit, pause for 5 seconds before reacting. Just 5 seconds to create that crucial space for choice. Take a moment to notice where this pause could have redirected a past decision towards a more productive outcome. This deliberate interruption empowers you to steer your actions toward your strategic goals rather than being swept away by impulse. Master the pause. Master your habits. This insight naturally leads us forward. To truly unstack bad habits and break free from destructive cycles, you must adopt a strict never-again policy for specific, highly detrimental habits. Allowing even a single exception often leads to a full demoralizing relapse, actively jeopardizing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that for certain habits, moderation is a myth. The only sustainable approach is abstinence. Many professionals discover their meticulously built financial runway or hard-won income growth gets eroded by a recurring destructive habit because they rationalize a just this once exception. Consider a time when you told yourself you'd only check social media for a minute during focused work, only to lose an hour, impacting your skill stacking or client acquisition friction. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering recognition that some behaviors are non-negotiable threats to their strategic goals. They understand that a small breach in discipline for a truly destructive habit, like impulsive spending when trying to overcome budget stress, doesn't stop at just one instance. It opens the floodgates for a full return to the old pattern. Think of the moment when a one-time delay in critical exit planning tasks felt harmless, but led to significant negotiation mistakes or boss dynamics issues. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that the just this once thought is a cunning psychological trap, not a genuine exception. One shift that accelerates progress is to identify one habit that is genuinely detrimental to your long-term freedom and commit to a never-again policy for it. Identify one habit you commit to never doing again, a behavior that, even once, undermines your progress. Take a moment to consider how even a tiny exception in the past may have led to a larger setback. This absolute commitment establishes an unbreakable boundary, safeguarding your momentum. Draw the line. Secure your freedom. Chapter 13. Your Personal Financial Freedom Blueprint. Assemble your master plan. I remember a client, Maria, a talented graphic designer who dreamed of ditching her suffocating corporate role. She devoured every popular self-help book, tried every trending productivity app, and even invested in online courses promising a guaranteed path to a six-figure side hustle. For weeks, she'd follow a generic template, only to find it unravel when her unique life hit. A sudden client crisis, her child's unexpected illness, or simply her natural creative flow clashing with a rigid schedule. She'd feel like a failure, not because the advice was flawed, but because it wasn't her blueprint. This cycle of starting strong and fizzling out left her feeling perpetually stuck, convinced her specific talents and family dynamics were roadblocks, not assets, making her dream of job escape feel increasingly distant. The first thing to grasp is that while universal principles exist, a generic plan rarely fits individual circumstances. To truly assemble your master plan for financial freedom and sustain income growth, you must integrate all learned habit principles into a personalized system tailored specifically to your life. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls or their runway building falters because they try to force-fit someone else's successful routine onto their unique personality, work demands, or family structure, leading to burnout and budget stress. Consider a time when a popular market skill-building program felt exciting, but ultimately unsustainable because it didn't align with your existing time commitments or learning style. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that true leverage comes from customizing, not copying. Think of the moment when a blanket negotiation tactic, learned from a book, backfired because it didn't account for your specific boss dynamics or industry nuances. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that your strengths, weaknesses, and unique life context are not impediments. They are the very building blocks of your most effective strategy. One shift that accelerates progress is to begin outlining your ideal daily habit routine, not as a rigid schedule, but as a flexible framework reflecting your energy patterns and priorities. Take a moment to notice how frustrating it is when a well-intentioned generic plan clashes with your reality. This personalized integration transforms principles into powerful, sustainable action. Build your blueprint, forge your freedom. With that foundation in place, to truly assemble your master plan for financial freedom and ensure lasting income growth, you must connect each habit directly to a larger financial or career goal for clear purpose. Disconnected habits feel meaningless, lack momentum, and eventually fade, actively jeopardizing your job escape and runway building. The first thing to grasp is that sustained effort requires a compelling why. Without a clear link between your daily actions and your ultimate vision, the grind becomes tedious and easily abandoned. Many professionals discover their skill stacking or client acquisition friction efforts lose steam because they haven't explicitly tied that daily email outreach or hour of learning a market skill to their grander ambition of escaping the 9-to-5. Consider a time when you diligently tracked your budget, but without a clear purpose, like funding a specific investment or creating a 6-month expense buffer, the habit eventually felt like a chore and stopped. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to articulate precisely how each small habit contributes to their larger financial and career aspirations. Think of the moment when a negotiation mistake taught you the value of diligent preparation. Linking that preparation to a specific salary increase makes future efforts purposeful. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that this intentional connection provides a deep, intrinsic motivation that external rewards alone cannot replicate. One shift that accelerates progress is to make this link explicit. Link one daily habit you're building, perhaps daily learning, to a specific long-term financial goal, like funding your job escape runway. Take a moment to notice how this clear connection imbues the habit with deeper meaning and makes it feel less like an obligation. This purposeful alignment transforms mundane tasks into powerful steps toward your destiny. Purpose fuels action. Action builds freedom. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly assemble your master plan for financial freedom, you must fundamentally grasp that achieving it is a direct result of intentional design and consistent action. Believing it's merely a matter of luck or circumstance prevents you from taking personal responsibility and actively sabotages your job escape and income growth. The first thing to grasp is that relying on serendipity for your financial future is a strategy of default, not design. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls, or their runway building remains insufficient, because they passively hope for a promotion or a market shift instead of proactively engineering their financial outcomes. Consider a time when you attributed a colleague's success to being in the right place at the right time, rather than recognizing their years of intentional skill stacking or astute negotiation tactics. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering belief in their agency, understanding that every dollar earned, saved, or invested is a product of deliberate choice, not random chance. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction felt like an unfair burden, but a more intentional approach to outreach could have transformed that challenge into an opportunity. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that this shift from hoping to designing gives you immense leverage over your financial destiny, moving you past budget stress. One shift that accelerates progress is to identify one specific area of your financial or career life where you can immediately inject more intentionality. Identify one area where you can be more intentional, perhaps your daily spending, your learning schedule for a new market skill, or your proactive networking efforts. Take a moment to notice how simply identifying this area clarifies your path forward and replaces vague hope with concrete purpose. This foundational belief in personal power is the bedrock of true freedom. Design your fortune, own your future. Now here's where the real shift begins. To truly assemble your master plan for financial freedom and accelerate income growth, you must design a concise yet powerful morning routine that ensures daily progress on your most important goals. A weak, reactive start often leads to an unfocused, unproductive day, actively sabotaging your job escape and runway building efforts. The first thing to grasp is that the first hour sets the tone for the next 12. Investing time up front creates momentum, clarity, and control. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls or their skill stacking suffers because they wake up to their phone, immediately drowning in external demands and budget stress before even considering their own priorities. Consider a time when you let emails dictate your early morning, only to realize by midday you hadn't touched the critical, high-leverage work for your side hustle or client acquisition. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding of the profound impact of a strategic morning, protecting their most valuable hours for proactive growth. Think of the moment when neglecting crucial market skill practice in the morning meant you felt less confident during a negotiation or client call later in the day. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that these small, early wins build confidence and discipline, providing immense leverage over your day. One shift that accelerates progress is to craft a short, deliberate morning habit stack. Create a 15-minute morning habit stack that directly contributes to your financial freedom goals. Perhaps 5 minutes of planning your top 3 priorities, 5 minutes of learning a new market skill, and 5 minutes of reviewing your financial runway. Take a moment to notice how intentionally starting your day with these foundational actions changes your entire outlook and productivity. This intentional beginning empowers a day of focused achievement. Win your morning, win your day. This insight naturally leads us forward. To truly assemble your master plan for financial freedom, you must establish core financial habits that are absolutely non-negotiable for your long-term security. Compromising on these foundational habits, even occasionally, fundamentally undermines overall progress, actively jeopardizing your job escape and runway building. The first thing to grasp is that your financial foundation is not built on grand gestures, but on relentless consistency in small, crucial actions. Many professionals discover their income growth stalls, or their career strategy feels unstable because they allow exceptions to their budget or savings plan, leading to perpetual budget stress. Consider a time when a single skipped savings contribution or an impulsive spending spree set you back more than you anticipated, making your financial independence feel more distant. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering commitment to these bedrock behaviors. Understanding that discipline in these areas provides immense leverage for all other ambitions. Think of the moment when a negotiation mistake could have been avoided if you had consistently practiced your market skills, a habit you might have skipped. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that once these foundational habits are automated and non-negotiable, you free up mental energy to focus on higher-level strategic work. One shift that accelerates progress is to proactively identify and declare 2 specific financial habits you will never skip. Name 2 financial habits you will never skip, perhaps your weekly budget review and your automated savings contribution. Take a moment to notice how much stronger your position becomes when these fundamentals are locked in, no matter what external circumstances arise. This absolute commitment to your financial bedrock empowers all other aspirations. Secure the base, build the future. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To truly assemble your master plan for financial freedom and achieve a smooth job escape, you must outline a step-by-step habit plan for transitioning from traditional employment to full financial autonomy. Without a phased approach, the sheer magnitude of the transition feels overwhelming, leading to inaction and actively jeopardizing your runway-building efforts. The first thing to grasp is that no one leaps from an employee to a fully independent earner overnight. It's a deliberate progression built on consistent, incremental habits. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls because they view the goal of full financial autonomy as one giant leap, leading to analysis paralysis rather than focused skill stacking. Consider someone aiming to grow their income through a side hustle. If their only vision is a 6-figure business, the path seems insurmountable. But if they break it down into acquire 1 new market skill, then get 1 paying client, then automate a small process, it suddenly becomes tangible. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to deconstruct ambitious goals into manageable, habit-driven components, providing immense leverage. Think of the moment when the idea of leaving your job felt like an impossible dream, partly because you hadn't broken down the financial benchmarks or client acquisition efforts into achievable stages, leading to ongoing budget stress. Another factor that changes everything is that each small, successful step in this phased approach builds confidence and momentum, which is critical when navigating risky transitions or overcoming negotiation mistakes. One shift that accelerates progress is to take your ultimate career goal, your vision of job escape, and immediately break it down into 3 smaller, actionable steps that can be tackled in the next 30 to 90 days. Break down your ultimate career goal into 3 smaller steps right now. Take a moment to notice how much less overwhelming your biggest goal feels when you see it as a sequence of deliberate actions. This systematic approach dismantles fear and builds an undeniable path forward. Small steps, massive freedom, moving from theory into practice. To truly assemble your master plan for financial freedom and ensure its resilience, You must build adaptability directly into your habit system to account for inevitable life changes and challenges. A rigid system breaks down under unexpected pressure, actively jeopardizing your job escape and income growth. The first thing to grasp is that life is dynamic. New opportunities, health issues, or family responsibilities will inevitably arise. A plan that doesn't anticipate this will falter at the first major disruption. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls or their runway building collapses because their carefully constructed routines cannot flex, leading to burnout and budget stress when the unexpected occurs. Consider a time when a sudden work project or family emergency completely derailed your consistent skill stacking or client acquisition efforts, and you found yourself struggling to get back on track. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their foresight in creating flexible frameworks, not unbreakable rules, providing crucial leverage. Think of the moment when a negotiation mistake taught you that a perfect plan is less valuable than one that can bend without breaking. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that adaptability isn't about giving up on your goals. It's about finding alternative, sustainable paths when the original one is blocked. One shift that accelerates progress is to proactively identify a potential life change that could impact your habits and strategize how your system would adapt. Identify a potential life change, like a new project at work or a temporary shift in family responsibilities, and map out how your core habits for financial freedom would adjust without breaking entirely. Take a moment to notice how much more secure your long-term vision feels when you've prepared for inevitable shifts. This built-in flexibility transforms potential setbacks into mere detours. Embrace change. Sustain your climb. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. To truly assemble your master plan for financial freedom and ensure sustained momentum, you must integrate regular, appropriate rewards for achieving habit milestones and goals. A lack of acknowledgement or celebration can quickly lead to burnout and decreased motivation, actively jeopardizing your job escape and income growth. The first thing to grasp is that while intrinsic motivation is powerful, our brains also thrive on positive reinforcement. Long-term goals, like building a substantial runway or mastering a new market skill, can feel distant without smaller, tangible checkpoints. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls because they push relentlessly without acknowledging progress, leading to fatigue and budget stress. Consider a time when you worked tirelessly on a project, but without any recognition, the next one felt like a heavier lift. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate design of self-reward systems that reinforce positive behaviors. Think of the moment when a successful client acquisition felt exhilarating and a small, non-financial celebration cemented your drive for the next one. This provides crucial leverage. Another factor that changes everything is realizing these rewards don't need to be extravagant. They simply need to be meaningful and timely, linking effort directly to satisfaction. One shift that accelerates progress is to plan a small, intentional reward for yourself after achieving a micro goal related to your financial freedom. Plan a small, appropriate reward for yourself after achieving a micro goal, perhaps an hour with a favorite book after completing your weekly budget review, or a quality coffee after consistently dedicating time to skill stacking. Take a moment to notice how this planned positive reinforcement strengthens the habit loop and boosts your enthusiasm. This deliberate self-acknowledgement fuels your journey forward. Celebrate progress, empower persistence. With that foundation in place, to truly assemble your master plan for financial freedom and ensure its long-term viability, you must schedule regular, in-depth reviews of your entire habit system for continuous improvement. Neglecting periodic review leads to stagnation, missed opportunities, and actively jeopardizes your job escape and income growth. The first thing to grasp is that a habit system is not static. It's a living blueprint that needs recalibration as your goals, market skills, and personal circumstances evolve. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls or their runway building becomes inefficient because they stick to outdated habits that no longer serve their current reality, leading to budget stress. Consider a time when a system you set up initially worked perfectly, but over months, its effectiveness waned because you never assessed what was working or what needed adjustment. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their dedication to strategic reflection, treating their personal blueprint like a business model that requires quarterly optimization. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction taught you that the initial outreach method wasn't sustainable, necessitating a new approach. Another factor that changes everything is realizing these reviews provide immense leverage, allowing you to fine-tune your efforts, overcome negotiation mistakes, and adapt to boss dynamics, ensuring maximum efficiency. One shift that accelerates progress is to make these reviews a fixed appointment in your calendar. Schedule a 30-minute quarterly review of your financial habits and your career strategy blueprint. Take a moment to notice how this dedicated time for reflection transforms your approach from reactive to proactive, continually sharpening your edge. This commitment to continuous improvement ensures your ascent. Review, refine, rise. Chapter 14, The Continuous Evolution, Mastering Adaptation and Advanced Stacks. I recall Mark, a brilliant software engineer. Early in his career, he mastered a specific coding language, propelling him to senior status. His daily habit stack involved deep dives into that language, diligently maintaining its intricate systems. This brought immense initial success, but the tech landscape evolves rapidly. Newer, more efficient frameworks emerged, and while Mark's core skill remained valuable, his rigid adherence to only that language meant he began hitting salary ceilings. He felt a creeping sense of burnout, constantly solving problems that could be streamlined by newer tools he hadn't learned. His once effective habits had become skill bottlenecks, hindering his growth and making the thought of job escape feel increasingly distant. He wasn't failing. His system was simply outdated. The first thing to grasp is that what serves you at one stage of your journey to financial freedom may actually limit you at the next. To master adaptation and truly achieve continuous income growth, you must recognize when your current habit system is no longer effectively serving your evolving goals. Sticking to outdated habits limits future growth, actively jeopardizing your job escape and runway building. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls because they hold sacred a daily routine or market skill-building practice that, while once effective, is now inefficient or irrelevant in a changing landscape, leading to budget stress. Consider a time when a specific client acquisition method that once worked wonders began to yield diminishing returns, but you kept pushing it out of sheer habit. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their willingness to objectively evaluate and discard habits that no longer provide optimal leverage. Think of the moment when boss dynamics shifted or new negotiation mistakes indicated that your old preparation routine needed a complete overhaul. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that this deliberate evaluation is not a sign of failure, but a sign of sophisticated strategic thinking. One shift that accelerates progress is to identify one habit you currently perform daily or weekly that feels less effective now than it once did. Take a moment to reflect on a habit you still perform that might be holding you back without you even realizing it. This conscious reevaluation liberates energy for more impactful actions. Release the old, embrace the new. This insight naturally leads us forward. To master adaptation and truly achieve continuous income growth, you must continuously experiment with new habits and refine existing ones for optimal performance. Fear of change, or the comfort of the familiar, actively prevents you from discovering more effective methods for your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that a habit, once effective, can become a ceiling if never challenged or improved. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls or their runway building slows because they continue with a good enough approach, unwilling to risk disrupting a known routine, even if it's no longer optimal. Consider a time when a specific market skill development method or client acquisition process felt productive, but you hesitated to try a new tool or approach, fearing a temporary dip in output. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their entrepreneurial mindset, viewing their habit system as a laboratory for continuous improvement, providing crucial leverage. Think of the moment when a negotiation mistake illuminated a flaw in your preparation, but you resisted altering it significantly because it was how you always did it. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that small, low-stakes experiments are not distractions, but essential data-gathering missions, reducing budget stress by optimizing your efforts. One shift that accelerates progress is to commit to one small habit experiment each week. Brainstorm one small habit experiment for next week, perhaps trying a different time for your skill stacking, or a new approach to managing boss dynamics, or refining a specific step in your daily plan. Take a moment to consider where a small tweak might unlock significant gains in your productivity or financial clarity. This ongoing curiosity and willingness to adapt are the hallmarks of a truly evolving blueprint. Experiment often, evolve relentlessly. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. To master adaptation and achieve continuous income growth, you must understand that an effective habit system is inherently dynamic, constantly adapting to your evolving life and goals. Believing in a static system leads to eventual obsolescence, actively jeopardizing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that your personal and professional landscape is not a fixed environment. What worked perfectly for skill stacking when you were single might be unsustainable with a family, or an effective client acquisition strategy for a niche market might not scale. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls because they rigidly adhere to routines that no longer fit their current responsibilities or ambitions, leading to unnecessary budget stress. Consider a time when a new boss dynamic or a significant shift in market skills made your old daily workflow inefficient, yet you resisted changing it. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their fluid approach, treating their habits as adjustable tools rather than unchangeable laws. Think of the moment when a negotiation mistake illuminated how dependent your preparation was on a quiet morning, which was no longer available, yet you clung to that original timing. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that this built-in flexibility provides immense leverage, ensuring your system remains responsive and relevant, even amidst the most significant life events. One shift that accelerates progress is to regularly consider how recent life events have impacted your routines and where adjustments are needed. Consider how a recent life event, perhaps a new project, a family commitment, or even a change in your energy levels, has impacted your existing routines, and identify one area where you could adapt a habit for better performance. Take a moment to notice how this proactive adjustment prevents your system from becoming a burden rather than a boost. This adaptive mindset ensures enduring progress. Embrace flux, sustain your growth. Now here's where the real shift begins. To master adaptation and truly ensure continuous income growth, you must develop acute awareness of subtle habit regressions and address them proactively. Ignoring small deviations allows bad habits to regain strength, actively jeopardizing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that a relapse rarely begins with a catastrophic failure. It's often a series of tiny, almost imperceptible slips. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls, or their runway building slows, because they rationalize minor inconsistencies in skill stacking or budget adherence, thinking it's just once, only for those exceptions to become the norm, leading to increased budget stress. Consider a time when you told yourself you'd just check social media for 5 minutes before starting a critical task, and that 5 minutes gradually stretched into 20, then an hour, impacting your client acquisition efforts. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their vigilant self-monitoring, catching these microregressions before they snowball into full-blown habit breakdowns, providing immense leverage. Think of the moment when a missed daily market skill practice seemed insignificant, but led to a feeling of being unprepared for a key boss dynamic or negotiation. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that early intervention is far easier and more effective than a full recovery from a significant setback. One shift that accelerates progress is to mentally check in on your top 3 core habits multiple times throughout your day. Mentally check in on your top 3 habits today. Are you adhering to your morning routine? Are you focused on your deep work? Are you tracking your spending? Take a moment to notice where a small deviation might be creeping in, and then gently course correct. This consistent, subtle vigilance is the ultimate safeguard of your progress. Stay vigilant, stay free, moving from theory into practice. To master adaptation and truly accelerate income growth, you must explore complex habit stacking strategies to achieve multiple outcomes simultaneously. Sticking to only simple, linear stacks limits the breadth of your progress, actively jeopardizing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that your time is a finite resource, and strategic integration of habits multiplies your output and leverage. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls or their runway building feels slow because they treat each goal, like skill stacking and client acquisition, as separate, time-consuming endeavors instead of finding synergies, leading to unnecessary budget stress. Consider a time when you realized you could listen to an educational podcast on market skills while commuting, turning dead time into productive learning. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to identify opportunities for habit mergers, where one action triggers or enables several positive outcomes, providing immense leverage. Think of the moment when preparing for a negotiation by reviewing industry trends could also double as content ideas for your side hustle. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that these advanced stacks don't add complexity. They create efficiency and often make daunting goals feel more manageable by blending them into existing routines. One shift that accelerates progress is to combine two existing good habits into a single, seamless sequence, looking for opportunities for overlap. Combine two existing good habits into one sequence. Perhaps immediately after your morning coffee, you spend 10 minutes reviewing your daily financial goals and outlining your top 3 high-leverage tasks for your career strategy. Take a moment to notice how this integration can double your output without requiring extra time, freeing you to focus on other aspects of job escape. This sophisticated integration amplifies your efforts. Stack smart, grow faster. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. To master adaptation and build truly robust income growth, you must design your habits to become stronger and more adaptable in the face of unexpected challenges. Rigid habit systems crumble under pressure, actively jeopardizing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that unforeseen circumstances are not a matter of if, but when. Your blueprint must account for economic shifts, personal emergencies, or industry disruptions. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls, or their runway building becomes unstable because their meticulously crafted routines have no built-in flexibility for external shocks, leading to paralyzing budget stress. Consider a time when an unexpected illness or a sudden change in boss dynamics completely derailed your momentum, leaving your skill stacking or client acquisition efforts in disarray. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to resilience, anticipating potential breakdowns and building contingency habits into their system. Think of the moment when a negotiation mistake could have been mitigated if you had a backup plan for research or emotional preparation when your primary routine was inaccessible. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that these contingency habits don't add complexity. They add an essential layer of security and provide crucial leverage. One shift that accelerates progress is to proactively identify a potential disruption to your financial freedom habits and plan a specific contingency habit for it. Plan a contingency habit for a potential disruption. Perhaps if your dedicated morning skill stacking time is lost due to a family emergency, your contingency is 15 minutes of audio learning during your commute later that day. Take a moment to consider where a plan B for your habits could have saved you stress in the past. This foresight transforms potential breakdowns into mere detours. Prepare for anything, conquer everything. With that foundation in place, to master adaptation and ensure continuous income growth, you must regularly reflect on your habit successes and failures to gain crucial insights for future optimization. Neglecting periodic reflection means mindlessly repeating past mistakes, actively jeopardizing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that experience alone is not enough. It's processed experience that leads to wisdom and refined strategy. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls, or their runway building feels like a constant struggle because they move from one action to the next without pausing to learn from what worked or failed, leading to persistent budget stress. Consider a time when a specific client acquisition effort didn't yield expected results, and without reflection, you might have simply tried the same failing approach again. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate practice of metacognition, thinking about their thinking and their doing, providing immense leverage. Think of the moment when a negotiation mistake provided valuable data, but only because you took the time to analyze the interaction rather than just dismiss it as bad luck. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that these insights are invaluable for refining your market skills, improving boss dynamics, and enhancing your overall skill stacking efficiency. One shift that accelerates progress is to integrate a short, consistent reflection practice into your routine. Journal about a recent habit challenge you overcame. What led to the challenge? How did you respond? And what did you learn? Take a moment to notice how identifying these patterns empowers you to anticipate and navigate future obstacles with greater confidence. This deep understanding of your own patterns ensures you are always learning, always advancing. Reflect, learn, lead. This insight naturally leads us forward. To master adaptation and truly accelerate income growth, you must cultivate habits that contribute beyond your personal goals, extending to your community and legacy. A purely self-focused habit system, while it might build your runway, often feels ultimately unfulfilling, actively jeopardizing long-term job escape satisfaction. The first thing to grasp is that true financial freedom isn't just about accumulating wealth. It's about building a life of profound meaning and impact. Many professionals discover their income growth reaches a plateau, not for lack of skill stacking or effort, but because their efforts lack a larger purpose, leading to a subtle burnout that even financial success can't resolve. Consider a time when mentoring a junior colleague or sharing your market skills with someone truly in need gave you a deeper satisfaction than a bonus. This contribution beyond self provides immense leverage. What separates consistent earners who stay fulfilled from those who don't is their intentional integration of habits that benefit a wider community. This might be sharing insights gained from navigating boss dynamics, offering pro bono advice, or contributing to open-source projects related to your niche. Think of the moment when solving a complex problem for a client, not just for the fee, but because you genuinely wanted to help them succeed, solidified your reputation, and led to unexpected referrals or client acquisition. Another factor that changes everything is realizing these outwardly focused habits often refine your own skills, open new networking doors, and reinforce your expertise, inadvertently accelerating your personal earning power and career strategy. One shift that accelerates progress is to consider one small habit you could adopt that benefits others. Consider one small habit that benefits others, perhaps spending 15 minutes a week sharing a key market insight on a professional platform or offering brief, unsolicited advice to a peer. Take a moment to notice how contributing beyond yourself creates a different kind of wealth, a sense of purpose that money alone cannot buy. This cultivation of outward-focused habits transforms your blueprint from a mere financial plan into a legacy. Serve others, elevate yourself. With that foundation in place, to truly master adaptation and ensure continuous income growth, you must adopt a mindset of continuous improvement and mastery in habit building. Viewing habit formation as a destination, a fixed set of routines once established, fundamentally limits your ongoing growth, actively jeopardizing your financial freedom and job escape. The first thing to grasp is that the art of self-optimization, like any high-value market skill, requires relentless refinement. Many professionals discover their career strategy stalls or their runway building remains insufficient, not because they lack initial discipline, but because they stop learning about how to be disciplined. They apply outdated habit principles, much like using an old software version when a more efficient one exists, leading to persistent budget stress. Consider a time when you mastered a skill, perhaps a negotiation technique, but then stopped practicing or seeking new insights, only to find its effectiveness diminishing over time. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their dedication to becoming lifelong students of human behavior and habit science, providing immense leverage. Think of the moment when client acquisition friction revealed a need for a completely different approach, which you only discovered by studying new strategies. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that our internal operating system, our habits, is perhaps the most critical system to continuously upgrade, influencing everything from boss dynamics to skill stacking. One shift that accelerates progress is to commit to learning one new habit principle or technique each month, then intentionally integrating it into your blueprint. Commit to learning one new habit principle this month, perhaps a new way to track progress, a different reward strategy, or a specific environmental design hack. Take a moment to notice how this continuous learning mindset keeps your personal growth dynamic and prevents stagnation. This pursuit of mastery in your habits empowers boundless progress. Learn, evolve, thrive.